ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Yeehaw Lads podcast, episode number 32. It's our first episode of the new year. We'll kick it off discussing our New Year's plans, heading to the Badlands in Indiana for the annual Hangover Run, hosted by Total Offroad Podcast.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We can start off by,
okay.
by the sharp decline of participants, I must say.
Oh my God, yeah. It was... there was, I think, a total of 4 people wheeling the first day of our group.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many people was last year? Like 8?
The first day, probably at least 8 or 9,
At
yeah.
least. But New Year's was on Saturday night last
Yeah.
year, I think.
Yeah.
Which makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, here, we'll start it off where we ended last week.
Okay.
And we'll do it day by day because a lot of stuff happened and I'm going to miss some stuff.
True.
So last week we recorded on
Nice.
Thursday night. I had the truck. We'd bled the power steering, hadn't put it all together. Whatever. Michael ended up doing that Thursday night. So Friday night I come over and all of the steering linkages on, tires are on, it's sitting on the ground. He's like, it turns great. And I'm like, did you try to turn it with the hubs locked or with them unlocked? Because it always turned great with them unlocked.
Yeah.
Right.
When they don't bind up with your welded front.
But as soon as you lock them, there's no play side to side or no rotational play. So it has to literally scrape the tire across the ground.
Yeah. The force is like 3 or 4x probably.
Oh, it's so much more. He's like, no, I didn't. He's like, but I think it'll be fine. Oh, I took all these pictures at full quality, so it loads really slow on my laptop. So cool. I should not have done that.
I'm really surprised that was a hard time loading it like that.
I think it's just the default Photos app is just getting mad about it.
Must be. Because the pictures that you took on our trip that I have on my computer,
Yeah.
instant.
I wonder if it's from sending them. I don't know. Either
There's
way,
so much fluid on the ground.
bleeding it. So here is the fully assembled steering setup on the truck. Both of my link bars are nice and straight.
And
Didn't
shiny.
have to do any weird bends. This is after a fresh
Did you
coat of
paint
paint.
them?
Yeah, painted everything black.
Very nice.
We were gonna go with some goofy random color and then just didn't because
Yeah.
that's a lot of extra work.
Should have went with red.
Oh, I should have painted my cross member. Fuck, I completely forgot about that. Like
Oh,
this
yeah.
is still in bare metal.
Fuck
I
it,
was
fuck
gonna.
it, what
I
are you doing
remember
this
seeing
weekend?
that. You'll know why I saw that, but yeah, I
Yeah.
remember seeing that later on. I'm like, oh yeah, he
Yeah,
did that, and that was it.
I should have painted that, but you
Anyway.
can see the ram hiding behind the tie rod right here. Everything's nice, clean, straight, and everything seemed to work pretty good.
Steering was the least of the issues.
Correct.
Uh-oh.
So I went over there Friday. We
Foreshadowing.
locked the hubs in and turned it on the ground. It turned
Yeah.
flawlessly. I was
Nice.
very impressed with how, like, before, because Marcus, you'd rode with me plenty of times. If it bound up, there was no moving it. You could hang off the wheel. And it
Yeah,
was
no, you
solid.
basically had to, if you were turning to the right
Usually
and it
to the
locked,
right.
you had to basically sit there and bump it, which would get the linkages to shift back, but you
Yeah.
would basically just like fucking inchworm
You would,
it
you
over.
would slowly use the little bit of play.
Oh,
that
yeah.
you're
'Cause
like
I
you're rocking
remember-
the truck back and forth
Yeah.
by like creeping
You'd
forward.
idle forward, idle backwards, and just keep holding the wheel.
And when
eventually,
you can't do that, because I remember when we
we were crossed up on a hill.
we
so
were
we
crossed
were
up on a
coming-
hill coming down, and we had to do a 90-degree right turn. And
Yep.
you were like, grab the wheel and see if you can help move this. And I
Yeah.
literally pulled my entire weight down, and it didn't
It
shift.
didn't even budge.
It was like, oh, fuck.
So I'm trying to do
Love
like a 5-point turn on a double inclined hill, and I'm like, Andy, come back here and just watch and make sure nothing weird happens. You're like, oh, you got plenty of room. Like, great, but I can't turn.
Can't see.
Kind of working on that. So, so yeah, we went over there. I went over there Friday night to kind of take a look at stuff and see
Finish buttoning up.
what had gotten done. We had to re-drill the pitman arm just a little bit deeper to get the stake for the castle nut to go in. But other than that, everything went together nice and easy. You literally can one finger turn this thing now with it locked. I was so impressed. Because I wasn't sure if it would be like... People complain about hydraulic ram sizes all the time. They say if you go too big, which is how you get more power, it'll get slower. So as you're trying
Which
to
makes
push
sense.
all that fluid around, it'll slow down your steering rate.
Yes.
Well, it's just like torque versus power.
It's flow versus pressure, essentially. Yeah, it's right in that little weird... You kind of get to balance it out with how much your pump flows. Well, I had basically no issue with that. That pump flows a ton of pressure. It seemed really good. So Friday night, we got... What did I do Friday? Friday, we got it on the ground, got it kind of checked over. I didn't do much Friday. We just dialed everything in and let it go there.
My Friday. Are you done with Friday?
Yes, I think that's all I did.
My Friday, I did absolutely nothing, basically.
Hell yeah.
Except for load it on the trailer.
Right.
which then I found out the fucking radiator leaked.
Yep.
So
Literally.
did you find out what caused that, or it just?
Oh, he knows
popped?
what caused it.
Well, okay, so a stick did just so happen to jam itself into the radiator on the last trip, but it didn't leak. The whole rest of that day, which was
leak
another
until you
4
pulled it
hours
out?
of wheeling, didn't leak any of the other times I had the Jeep running since then, as well as didn't leak when I did a test drive Thursday around the block. I just parked it back in the garage. I'm like, cool, I'll figure it out tomorrow.
Cool. All good.
Friday, or I think I might have mounted the pack out mount in it Friday. Or no, I
Something
think we talked
simple.
about it last podcast. So I'm
We
pretty
did.
sure I already
Yeah.
did that. So yeah, no, I literally didn't do anything besides pull it up onto the trailer. Like
with a leaky
idled it in my
radiator.
garage. I don't know. I know it didn't decide to leak until it was all the way up there, and I'm like,
Of course.
So I didn't. Yeah, it.
You literally had no idea
Yeah.
until it
Yeah,
was up on
folded
the
the
trailer.
ramps up, parked my truck back in the driveway, walked away. I'm like, why is it dripping? So I actually changed it out on the trailer because I was too lazy to like pull my truck up.
Eh.
My truck also had dead batteries, so like couldn't even start it to get it off easy. I'm like, fuck it, I'm doing it right here. I don't care.
Just gonna figure it out. It'll be fine.
Yeah, Friday, all I did was that, and then I was going over to a friend's house for movies and dinner, and then
Oh,
I'm like,
friend.
I'm gonna go over to Peru and see if the junkyard has a radiator for an XJ because I know they have one XJ in the yard, and I want to see if there's still a radiator. I don't think so because I remember the front end being tore off of it, but it's worth checking before I buy the $150, $160 radiator from O'Reilly's.
Yeah. If you don't have to and you're already
Yeah.
poor, what's the
Yeah,
difference?
so I'm like, I'll go check, and turns out they did. I'm like, well, all right, cool. So I ripped it off as fast as I can. Was like 10 minutes late to dinner. I'm like, this is fine. Threw in the back of the Subaru and went and did my dinner. I'm like, all right, cool. I got something to do Saturday. That'll roll me into Saturday. Put the radiator on it, bolted it up, strapped the Jeep down, put the battery charger on my truck, and that was it. So
Yeah. Didn't leak. Didn't have to do anything
yeah,
weird.
no, it
You always gotta be weird
I
when
added
it's-
more Sunday when we got there after I ran it for probably an hour
You're
or
gonna
so.
have to. It's gonna. Bubble
Yeah, I was like,
some
it's not
and-
gonna hurt. Yeah, I made it.
Right.
I added, I don't know, a quart or so. It'd be about it after it bubbled and got up to temp like 2 or 3 times since then. So
Yeah, which
was
yeah,
about it.
It's gonna happen regardless. So
Yeah.
Saturday for me, I had the day off work for once, which was weird. 'Cause I
Wow.
wasn't sure if we were going or not. So I'm just like, I probably won't be in. He's like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. So I went to Rural King in the morning to get a new drop hitch for my truck because the one I had was just one that Eric gave me when I got the trailer because I needed a drop hitch to tow it. Well, it was still too tall, so I wanted to go lower. The one I had was a 4-inch. I got a 6-inch with a raised ball, so I ended up at a 5-inch drop.
What?
It's a weird. I don't have any good pictures of the hitch, but basically the shank of the ball has an extra inch of,
Yeah.
of material in it, so you can balance 1 inch at a time. Well, I could have went with a regular one and been at a 6-inch drop, but really not a big deal either way.
Yeah.
So I got that. I grabbed another gallon of coolant because when we did the radiator thermostat, not temperature probe, we had to take the top hose off so it leaked some out anyway.
Yeah.
Grabbed that.
Never hurts to have extra fluids.
Yeah, I just grabbed a couple random things. I don't remember if I grabbed anything else truck specific. I don't think so. Grabbed all that stuff, grabbed lunch, went back home, had to wait for my sister to stop by to grab her dog because I was watching it still. So I basically just hung around the house until like 4 or something when they got here. After that, went back over to my parents' house. That's when we were reaming the pitman arm out just a little bit. Did that Saturday afternoon. I showed up because I had the trailer hitch I bought. The ball it's raised an inch, but there's no flats on it, so you can't clamp it anywhere to tighten it.
Oh shit!
It's all round. So you either have to use a pipe wrench and a regular wrench or an impact. And I'm like, okay, I'll just impact it. Well, our shop impact is not here. It's at my boss's house. So I'm like, okay, I'll take the hitch home, tighten it there, come back, grab the trailer, drive home. We don't have the right socket for it somehow. I'm like, God damn it. Okay. Grab my impact from home, drive back here, tighten it with the sockets here, hook up the trailer, take it home to load the truck on it Saturday night. So here's the truck and trailer loaded up Saturday night.
Looks so fucking good.
Oh yeah.
So you could see these straps. These are like Vulcan brand or some weird, not important brand. But originally I bought them to go around the tire, not through the wheel like this.
Yeah.
Because this one's hard to tell, but it's on top of the air
Your valve stem?
Valve stem.
Valve
That's
stem.
the word. I'm still sick. I'm sorry. My mind is slow today. It's actually right on top of the valve stem. You can see how it's like notched there.
Oof.
Doesn't touch it. At
Oh,
full
really?
tight, it doesn't touch. It's like a millimeter a room.
Oh, yeah, I guess yours
Oh,
are kind
shit,
of
yeah.
in there.
Because if you look at
funky.
the back wheel, see how there's a notch here?
Mm.
It's right in that notch, but you can just barely see the valve stem sticking through.
Yeah.
So it actually turned out fine.
Nice.
But I bought them to go around these tires.
Mm-hmm.
They are 8-foot-long straps. The tires are 40 inches wide. So by the time you go 40 across the back, that's already 80 inches.
Yeah.
Right.
Plus 16 and a half wide on each side.
It's more than 8 feet.
I'm like, oh, they're not even close. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I guess I'm going through the wheel, which actually worked out pretty nice. Like,
Yeah.
it strapped down nice.
Besides the once in every 100 times that you're gonna load it when you actually get the valve stem in the spot. Luckily, it doesn't hit.
Luckily, it doesn't hit.
But yeah, it's like go figure. The first time you go to use these, it's like, oh yeah, there's the valve stem.
Yeah, I literally left it in there, and it was honestly fine. I was surprised it didn't, like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to move it, like, wiggle the wheel or put a piece in there. No, it
I
fits
do have
fine.
a spare set of Colby valves, by the way.
Yeah.
So you
In
remember that
case-
from now on.
in case
yeah.
I do end up popping one. But no, it loaded on there, super nice. It fit on there good. The truck and trailer sat almost exactly how I wanted it. I could probably go another inch lower. Let me skip that. Here's it over at the Casey's.
Nice.
So
Hell
let's see if I
yeah.
can zoom in and see it. Yeah, see how there's an extra like inch of shank right here
Oh,
on the
yeah,
ball.
yeah.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's to turn a 6-inch drop into a 5. So the ball's an inch extra height. So it's kind
Just
of
get a
weird.
different ball.
I could put a regular sized ball in there; it'll be fine. But it's almost flat. I could go a little bit further forward, which will even it out some.
Mm-hmm.
So the picture we skipped past was me at the grain elevator over in town. So I weighed this setup as pictured: truck, trailer, and truck on trailer, truck. Do you guys have a guess for what you think it weighs, or did you see it on the way past?
Total?
I didn't.
I tried to skip through it quick, but
Total.
so I can give you
Wait, what? Like truck, trailer,
Everything-
and other truck on it.
everything pictured.
15.5.
Okay.
Well, 14.5.
I'm
Okay.
just going to go with an even 14.
They say if you want any numbers, I will let you. I will give you guys the weight of one object in this picture.
Okay, I'll take that.
Okay.
Just which one do you want? I guess
I want the pickup truck.
the tow.
Or sorry, the Ranger. The Ranger. Yeah.
Yeah.
The range.
small.
The Ranger no driver weighs 4660.
Oh wait. Okay. Yeah. 46. Oh, I
It's super
overshot
light.
that bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Ranger no driver is 4660.
Okay, fine. I'll go 12.5.
Anything else in there? Is that
11.5.
1,300.
13,000. You mean?
13,000?
Oh,
Close.
yeah.
The final weight with driver is. Why is it not scrolling?
Picture loads. slowly.
Dramatic effect.
Is
12.
12,320. So when you do the math
I was
out,
over, so by Price is Right rules, I lost.
technically the lower number wins, but you were pretty close.
Yeah.
So technically the weight of the truck is 4660. I'm 220 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then the weight of the loaded trailer is almost right at 7,500 pounds, which is exactly where I wanted it. Because the truck's rated to tow 7,500 pounds.
Yeah.
So ideally it landed right in that zone that I wanted it.
Yeah, I was assuming your the F1 or F350 was 4,500 and your trailer was 2,500. I was only off by that by about
You're pretty
500. So.
You're pretty close there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're guessing the trailer's probably 2,800 pounds and the truck's probably 46 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So my truck towing it and everything kind of it evened out really nicely. It feels a little bit light on the front end of the Ranger. So I pulled the whole truck on there, scaled everything. Then I pulled the front axle of the truck off the scale.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just my rear axle and the trailer. That is exactly 10,000 pounds.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
So the front axle of my truck towing has 2,300 pounds of weight on it. And the rest of the combination is 10, which isn't bad. It's not like super duper light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it weighs exactly what half of the Ranger weighs.
You should
Yeah.
go up. I'll say, yeah, you should go up to it afterwards and see what your front end weighs. Like your just your Ranger only, and
Well,
see how much that
I
weighs.
say the truck weighs 4,660.
Yeah, but you
So-
don't know exactly the
Exactly.
percentage. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But basically, if,
Front and rear
the
axle.
truck weighs 4,660, exactly half of that is 2,330 pounds. So
but
theory,
realistically, your front end is heavier.
the front end isn't heavier, right? Well, on a normal day, it should be a little bit heavier.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You are exactly half The numbers are not that bad.
Yeah, I need
but
to weigh it front, rear, and just kind of figure out where I'm at, all my weights wise, just for towing weight and you want to know how much tongue weight you have and stuff, so you know if it's where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Basically,
things I've never done because my truck's overkill for everything.
Yeah, your truck, you could put 20,000 behind the axles. It'd be like, okay, sure, we're good here, whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck, I guess.
So basically, so then I pulled the rest of the truck off, so it's just the trailer. The trailer's right at 6,440 pounds. So that means it's putting basically right at 1,000 pounds of tongue weight onto the truck.
Yeah.
Which is basically right where I wanted it. So
Yeah.
everything turned out really, really nice in the zone where I wanted it. I'd like to have just a hair more tongue weight, closer to 1,200 pounds, but
Just get some tractor weights.
well, if I mount up my spare 40, put that in the bed,
Oh,
do a couple
yeah.
little, I could probably force
Fuel
that weight,
jug and
get that weight in there a little
bits
bit
and
nicer.
bobs.
We'll talk about fuel jugs later. Holy fuck.
Uh-oh.
Jugs.
But either way, so that weighed out really nice, how I liked it. You could see it here in the light. I mean, the truck
Your
is...
Ranger looks dirty
God
as fuck.
damn. Wash your truck.
I was going to wash it Saturday when I was in town, and I'm like, man, there's a
Nah.
line. I don't feel like
Yeah.
it. And I just went home. But the trailer's relatively flat and nice.
You can definitely tell that Michael polished the one fender in this picture
Oh,
too.
it's super
after
clear
the
right now.
after this weekend, you literally could
Wow.
not. But yeah, I'm like, wow, that's a noticeable difference.
Polished is a strong word.
True, understandable.
Michael took
put any amount of effort into it.
He took steel wool and soapy water and just scraped the truck to get the oxide layer off of it.
Yeah.
And it turned red.
Wow.
It looks orange in all the other places. You can see he did this back corner of the cab and then the front fender. Everything else is still nasty orange.
Yeah.
He's like, wow, that's a lot of work. I don't want to do that again. I'm like, you can't just do one fender.
Right, yeah.
You crazy?
Bastard.
So that was Saturday night. After that, I went and parked it. Relatively happy with how everything feels. I ran it up to 75 once just to kind of see if it was...
Yeah, just get a feel for it.
You can tell that that's where the Ranger's weight limit is. So it's rated for 7,500. You can tell that you're there.
Yeah.
Now, is part of that because my truck is leveled in the front? Probably. Might make the front end feel a little bit lighter because you're leaning it's leaning the truck the same amount, but with the front end already higher,
Yeah.
it feels
It's
like you
switching
pulled
your
weight.
It's even
center
more
mass.
leverage.
Yeah,
Yeah, whatever.
It's even more leverage.
technically it's the moment of inertia.
Yeah.
Is normally as you flatten it out, everything flattens out with it. Well, technically you're past flat, even though it's squatting it the same amount.
Yeah.
So it's not bad. I would definitely feel comfortable towing with it like this.
Except for
The problem is
Sunday morning.
we wake up Sunday morning and it's
sleeting.
it's
Damn
cold
near.
as shit, and I hear it raining as I'm getting ready. I'm like, fuck, and I'm just like, God damn it, this is gonna suck. And I'm like, wait a minute, Michael's borrowing Dad's truck. I'm like, and he's coming with me. I'm
This
like,
is at
4
a.m.?
4:25 in the
Yeah.
morning. I'm like literally, I'm like getting ready. I'm like, well, he gets here, we'll just swap trucks. I'm like, the 6.7's gonna sit here all weekend
Oh, yeah,
anyway.
fuck
And I'm
it.
like, well, fuck it, we'll just swap trucks. That'll be easy. So he gets here and we kind of go over it, and I'm just like, yeah, it'd probably be a little bit safer to take the bigger truck on the first trip with this trailer, and it's going to be possibly freezing rain, freezing ice.
And that truck will not give
even a little bit.
fuck.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, that's
whatsoever.
a pretty good idea. So swap all the stuff, all of our bedding and stuff out of the truck into the other truck, load up, head out.
The only other thing that I will say was I figured out that my aftermarket steering wheel was too close to my blinker and windshield wiper stocks on my column.
Your arms.
The base
your
I put
truck?
on on the Jeep. Sorry, thank you.
Yes, you figured it out
on the
Saturday
Jeep.
I was gonna
night.
say, hang on.
On the Jeep, my aftermarket steering wheel is there's a adapter base that is on the splines on the shaft of just the steering column.
Yeah.
The base I put on is not very tall, so the steering wheel that I put on is bolted directly to the base, and it was only maybe an inch and a half off of the blinker and windshield.
So you basically
stock.
need like a spacer plate. In
Or you just put a quick adapter
Yep.
in, like
And
the
that'll
red
make
one
the
over there.
gap up.
This
On the-
guy?
yeah. Essentially was what I used.
Just for the...
So yeah, essentially this is what I needed, and I had searched Facebook Marketplace that Friday and Saturday with no one replying to me, as well as posted in the group. And lo and behold, Brendan Hefner, who is one of the Total Offroad guys, said, "Hey, what part of this do you need and why?" I'm like, "Well, my steering wheel is too close to my
Stalks.
blinkers, and I just need it spaced off. So I need a quick disconnect. I was hoping to buy one that way I didn't have to rebuy one later. It'd just be done.
Literally just to take up the space.
Yeah.
Not because I
disconnect
need it to be removable. It's just because I need the room. And he's like, well, I have a quick detach connected to my wheel. I'll just give you my wheel and base that you can connect to your, or a wheel and quick disconnect that you can then bolt into your base. I'm like, perfect, that works. He was maybe 15-minute detour.
Oh, fuck.
Oh yeah, literally
Perfect.
barely out of the. Other than
Yeah.
like
Uh-oh.
when we left his house, we were on like dirt roads.
Yeah.
So I'm in Dad's truck, and I'm like, oh god, he's
So
gonna
we
kill me.
we get there at 7 a.m.
Was that- I think it
7
was
a.m. We
right
got there
about-
right at 7 a.m.
Yeah, right
We
at
were
7.
perfectly on time to get to Badlands exactly at 9 o'clock because he lives like on the Illinois-Indiana border, so we were
Nice.
gonna lose an hour right there. So it would have been 8 o'clock. So we had an hour to get basically like 35 minutes to the park.
Yeah, to get there, to get unloaded, do all that stuff.
Well, then we talked to him for an hour.
Of course.
At least an hour, yeah.
Yeah, it was like probably an hour 15.
Which Brendan's a super awesome guy.
Yeah.
Knows a ton of stuff too. So they're like, because Andy's still trying to figure out with his 1-tons,
Yeah.
what is he gonna do for steering? And he's like,
he had
here.
a new project in his garage that we talked about for a while.
Yeah, he's like,
and-
here, look at this, consider this,
Yeah.
talk about that. And we're like, this is cool, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we just started bullshitting about like, oh, like let's go to this park and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, I want to go wheeling now
Yeah,
because
you-
I know that I'm going. I know that you're not, and that's probably why you're sitting here wanting to talk to us all day. But
Yeah, I'm on a trip right now, believe it
yeah,
or not.
currently
know?
you wouldn't believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we spent, probably a better part of an hour there. And then
Yeah.
from there, we like turn out of his driveway and it's like, do like one intersection and it's just like dirt.
Yeah.
It's like,
it was
oh.
about 2 miles of gravel roads
Yeah.
basically. And
I'm
then
like, this is it. Like, Dad's going to kill me. This thing's going to be filthy. He's like, he takes really nice care of this truck because it's a nice truck.
because it's.
And I'm like, oh, it's going to be fucking
he hasn't had a new truck in
scratched,
20 years.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's
Oh,
going
you
to be
took the new
ruined.
truck?
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
in his new
Yeah.
truck.
Shit.
Oh, fuck. I thought you were in the old
Oh,
truck.
yeah.
you're in the
We should
old
clarify.
one.
He was in
Yeah.
the 2022
I'm in the
F350.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's going to beat your fucking
In
ass.
the 2022 6.7 Lariat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Oh, my God.
I'm like, oh no,
You're
it's going to
fucking
be
insane.
I'm like, it's gonna be fucked. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
it's too late.
I mean, we were
now.
only doing 30 on the gravel road, so it's not like we were doing.
Yeah, we were
asshole
bucket
speeds
driving
by any
the
means.
I was
ditch.
very aware of that. Oh my god,
Yeah.
damn it! I'm like, it's not like tink to tink to tink to tink like throwing a rock. So I'm like, we're okay. Let's just not like bury this thing somehow.
Yeah.
they were well compacted roads, but
Yeah.
Still.
But yeah, so it was about 2 miles of gravel. Then we get on a couple little curvies and stuff. Also, I realized we took the wrong way into his house. I've never taken that way before.
the way out was the wrong way too. To be fair,
Well, yeah, but like without backtracking technically like 10 minutes to go the way we should have came in the first place.
right. Well, it's like the entrance to Badlands. The way it wants you to take is like a 1-lane weird,
Oh,
sketchy
yeah,
bridge.
exactly. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's 10 minutes quicker.
Yeah, nobody put any thought into like
how to get there.
well, no, like when they built the roads, like infrastructure wasn't a thing. They're like, well, we just need to get from there to there, and we don't care at all about anything in between. Road types, trees,
Cheap.
curves,
Doesn't matter.
we don't care. Just get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
the road's got like a 3-ton weight rating as everyone's in their crew cab diesels pulling,
Yeah.
goosenecks going over it. It's like,
Yeah, whoops.
it'll be a problem for one guy at one point. Other than that,
Luckily,
it's
it
fine.
hasn't been me yet.
Yes,
It'll be
correct.
fine. Fuck them.
Yeah.
You're not paying for the road.
Well, I'm gonna pay
technically
for
not.
it when I fucking collapse the bridge. That's I don't know, 2 centuries old.
You
and
Just
fucking,
haul ass across it. The quicker
I
you
do.
go.
I specifically do like 20 over the speed limit because I'm like,
Just a
I know
bounce.
this bridge is there and it's in the only flat part of
gonna
this
feel
road.
it
So
buckle.
I specifically go
Yeah,
faster.
the road
on
like
that area.
drops down. It's flat. You just bounce over it and then it's gone. Like,
Yeah.
pretend it never happened.
Yep.
It's the problem for the next guy behind you.
Yeah, when I'm
Usually that's
following him, the
Brian.
road
Yeah, I'll say
collapses,
it's
I'll be like,
Brian.
Yeah.
hey, that's brake time.
Yeah.
Speaking of brakes, the trailer brakes on this little trailer are outstanding.
Oh, good.
With
Good.
both axles being braked, it is like on brake level 4, which if you don't know, on a trailer brake controller, it's usually 0 to 10. 10 is like they'll activate as hard as humanly possible.
Yeah.
the
0
basically
is they're
e-brake.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Towing with it at like 4, I'm like, Jesus Christ, this thing's
Thing's dragging
aggressive.
ass.
It like, you can, which you're supposed to use the trailer
Yeah.
to pull you down because it weighs
Yeah.
more. On 4, it's already doing that. I'm like,
Damn.
this
For
is
record, my
awesome.
trailer with because I didn't replace my truck brakes in time, I have sent. I just started to really wear out my trailer brakes. I usually run mine at like loaded is usually 6.5. Unloaded is like 5 usually.
And that seems to be pretty standard. It's like
Yeah.
mid 6s to 7s. That's what.
Well, yeah, once you've fully broken in your brakes and like use your truck every day, it's usually between 5 and 6 is
Yeah.
where it's at. But I usually do mine like 6.5.
Yeah. So running this at 4
With
it's
just
like,
my
it's plenty.
4,500 pound Jeep on it. Granted, it's a heavy trailer.
Yeah, your
so
trailer
I'm
by
9,000
itself.
pounds total. With just what I'm pulling, so it is a lot of weight. But
Right.
yeah.
But yeah, I was very impressed with how effective they are having both axles.
Well, you also
braking.
had however many headaches to try to adjust them, so I would
All
hope
of-
that they're good.
all of the headaches. Of course, the whole
Exactly.
time we're like, are the
Unfathomable.
hubs hot? Are the brakes dragging? So every time we'd stop, we get out and feel stuff. Well,
Mm-hmm.
they're all greasy from excess
Mm-hmm.
grease wearing out and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, everything's pretty good. Nothing's weird. Nothing's hot. I'm like,
It's not red and the paint's not bubbling off. It's fine.
yeah, no, they weren't.
Yeah.
They were warmer than ambient temp,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
nothing for a brake
Yeah.
axle. So I'm like, perfect. I assembled these correctly, and they're not
And
failing.
adjusted.
Like, thank God.
Yeah.
Well, good.
So then
We
so
get
that-
there
it's like
at 10
something.
15 probably.
Yeah.
At this point, I know the wheelers are coming at about noon, and Steve will show up anywhere from 10 to noon.
and you're from like 10 to midnight, somewhere in there.
Yeah, pretty
Because
much.
he was up at like 2:30.
Yeah, he had finished fixing the leaf springs on his Jeep at about 1:30 in the morning. He left the shop at 2:30, and I
Hell
believe he
yeah.
went to bed and he woke up at like 10 o'clock.
He's
Or
got
yeah, because I think when we got there, or when we were 10 minutes away out, is when I texted him as we were leaving Brendan's, but it didn't send until like 10 minutes after. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was probably about 9:30. I texted him, or 9:30. This is now Indiana time.
Right.
So
Yeah.
8:30 at home. But
So we get to the park. We go to the. Do we go to the cabin check-in first?
yes, yeah, we pulled back to the campground,
Yeah.
check in, and
I don't remember
Checked
why.
in there,
Oh, because
basically.
you stopped at a gas station
Yes,
first.
I had to take a
went to the
poo.
park. Michael and I just went up to the main building and looked around for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, once Andy got there, then we went to the cabin rental off the trail place.
yeah,
Yeah.
which
To be
if
like-
you go there, you get a second wristband, which is for the 2 hours extended riding time.
Yes.
So
So yeah, you had to go there to check into the cabin
as
if,
well as buy a riding
if
pass.
nobody's in there.
Yeah.
If somebody's in there, you have to wait till like 4 o'clock.
Which
to
yeah,
check
they
in.
really like on the phone and through emails and stuff. They really put a like emphasis on like check in is at 4 p.m. is when you're able to go in the cabin, and check out is 10 a.m.
Yeah,
they
they're like,
don't, like-
try earlier or later.
Yeah, it's
ever.
like they were so cool about us getting there early and staying
I
late the
don't think
next
they
day.
threw a
Like,
fit last year.
yeah,
either.
no,
No.
but it's
Well,
just a matter
last-
of like there's so many warnings. It's like I just want to like put it out there, like, hey, are we
Yeah.
cool with this? And they're like, oh yeah, we don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, tell your website that because they yell at me.
Well,
Yeah.
last year we had it for the whole weekend.
Yeah,
Where
Ah,
this time,
that's fair.
in theory, somebody could have rented it Saturday night.
Yes.
So there's no point in us trying to
Yeah.
rush them out to get in early.
Well, no, and I mean, I guess it's really not in our sense of going. It's not rushing people out. It's, hey, we're here. Can we get our wristbands? And then just like
That's the
we'll be
standard
back
procedure
later.
Yeah, that's the standard procedure. But since it was empty, we were able to move in and get all our stuff ready.
So we
Nice.
pulled over by the off the trail site where our cabin was, and we start unloading our stuff.
This is when the shitstorm starts.
so you know,
Yeah.
I have spent a lot of time hauling stuff in my life, mostly tractors, UTVs, golf carts, stuff that when you take the key or you leave the keys in it, sometimes they fall out.
oh
Yeah.
fuck.
And the key's gone forever.
yeah,
Well,
Thank you.
technically, this is not one of those things. However,
your habits die hard.
I took the key out regardless because that's what you do when you haul stuff. I put the key right in the cup holder of the Black Ranger,
which is
You
still
didn't take
in
the Black
Illinois.
Ranger.
and then we
Correct.
switched trucks. So I pop the first strap off the truck, and I'm just like, I look at Michael, I'm like, oh fuck. He's like, huh? I'm like, the key is in the Black Ranger. He's like, no, it's not. I'm like, oh, 100%. Like I did not grab it, and I'm sure you didn't. He's like, are you kidding me? I'm
Balls.
like, no, it's 100% in Illinois in the cup holder right now.
So we start brainstorming. We're just like,
"God
besides
damn it."
breaking the ignition, I'm like, call a locksmith, go to a junkyard, try to find anything with a key, like drive around until we find a guy and be like, hey, can I borrow your key and see if it works real quick?
And I'm like, the ignition's actually pretty good, so any key won't turn it.
Yeah.
Locksmiths,
Sadly.
it's New Year's
Eve.
Eve at this point. I'm like,
And like
even if they do show up, it'll be really expensive.
oh
for
yeah,
no
and like
reason.
how many locksmiths do you like in our area? We have one locksmith.
Yeah, Attica
Sure,
yeah.
/ Lafayette, aka like the 45-minute
Yeah.
area we're in,
Yeah.
probably has one or two at best.
And they're probably all in Lafayette, which is
Yeah.
40 minutes away.
yes.
So we're just like, fuck, okay. So we're like,
Time to
we start looking
hotwire.
at stuff. Andy's like, hey, let's call Trevor Torrens.
Yes.
He's had a bunch of these trucks. Maybe
He
he
knows how to
something.
break into them. Surely.
Luckily,
he
the
was-
door was unlocked. Otherwise, we'd be super
Oh
fucked.
yeah. Luckily, and sadly, the one thing Trevor hasn't done a lot of is break
steal-
into these trucks.
Is steal his own trucks.
Yeah, it's like damn
Well,
it.
now wait a minute. Is your clip for your back window still in?
No, the door,
The door
was
wasn't-
unlocked.
the door was
I know,
unlocked.
but just
Yes, it is. Still
Oh,
in.
okay. Because I was
could-
gonna say you could have just put a
My-
little pry or
So
a
my driver's-
scraper in there and pop that.
My
clip
driver's quarter window. Actually, I'll zoom in on this picture just for people who aren't
Yeah.
aware of a
The
quarter
smoker
window.
window.
Yes. These
They're
little quarter
super
windows.
cool, and they died in the '90s, and I wish they'd come back.
Yeah. The one on my driver's side, the clip is broken. So
Oh,
I could
that's
just
right.
push that in if it was locked.
Yeah.
Oh
Luckily,
yeah,
it
because
wasn't
I
locked.
accidentally did that one.
I mean, allegedly, and it's fixed now, and no one can steal Brian's off-road rig.
Yeah.
Nobody's
They can
going to
sure
want
try.
to.
this shit has ADT in it.
If they can start it, good luck.
It's got Ford Pass too.
So basically, we're looking on the internet just trying to see, and it's like there is a module under the dashboard that actually controls when it starts.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, oh,
All that
okay.
the key does is push a rod into it to start it.
Yeah, it's
essentially.
basically a relay.
Yeah, basically, it's a manually functioning relay. So
Yeah.
it pushes and so we're underneath the dash, kind of looking at stuff,
Oh, the
messing
master
with it.
mechanic at work.
Yeah, thank God Michael's here because he's just like, fuck it, I know how to do this, no problem. So you drop the dash panel down, which is just clipped, thank God, and you take 2 bolts out. And there's a little white box in there with a lever on it. Drop that down, press the lever forward, truck starts right up.
You're fucking shitting me.
I've got a little video
No
here.
fucking
This is-
way.
Yeah.
I think I've got sound on.
That's
Give it a try.
This is
90s Ford.
so I'm
is
fully
peak
unloaded.
90s.
I backed my Jeep up. I'm like, here's like I have all the pack outs, all the tools like ready. We're here.
Yeah.
What was the episode of Top Gear where they took the
take the
emergency
hazard out,
light and
flip it
flip it
over,
upside down
and the car
the
starts.
bump starts?
It's literally that easy. So let's see. I think the video's. God.
Oh,
I have to open VLC for this. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. 1 second. Let me switch back to
what the
host.
hell?
Maybe
does-
that's why the cone was there.
I'm not paying for the high efficiency upgrade. Fucking dumb.
It's
Oh, that's-
99 cents.
I still do not
And
care.
you can get it free with VLC.
So let me.
Ooh. This is a little
So right
poopy.
here, the quality's.
Well, no,
kinda
this was
wacky.
before we did the second thing.
What's
that
the-
was
yeah,
just
light
how
switch.
corroded the key switch was.
So this
correct?
is the
Gross.
box. So normally,
Yeah.
these screw holes here.
Uh-huh.
Can I zoom in? Nope, that's subtitle text. Oh, good lord. Anyway,
Oh fuck.
these are the holes here that bolted up there, and there's this rod here. Let me try to get the better picture. There we go.
Yeah.
So there's a slider in the middle of this box, and this rod moves forward and backwards on that slider, essentially mimicking each position of the key. So if you pull it all the way back towards you, that's accessory. One forward is off, one forward is ignition, and you push it forward, and that's your momentary starter.
No shit.
Yeah.
So you'll see me here in a second. I'll flip it off so you can see it actually move through it.
Okay.
Right now the truck's running. You just reach through, truck's off.
What the fuck?
So that's just
Well,
underneath the dash of
I
the
know
truck.
what truck I'm stealing next.
So okay, did you record this after we broke the ignition? Because that was a
Yes.
second problem.
So,
Okay.
so what happened is we hit that, truck starts right up. We're like, fucking sweet.
Yeah,
That was
winning.
so easy.
We are ecstatic for about 20 seconds, and
And
it's
then
like,
I'm
you know
like-
what we also have to do? Put the fucking thing in gear,
Yeah, I'm like, okay, wait
which
a minute.
the ignition also locks.
I like go to grab the wheel and it's locked. And I'm like, oh,
Hey, you know the second part of what a key does? Yeah, that.
yeah, when you turn the key, it unlocks the wheel and the
oh
shifter.
my fucking god!
Both of those are now stuck with the truck running.
You have a 2-stage theft deterrent, and the first one is just horrible.
Literally, I'm just like, oh, fuck.
I
Like,
didn't see. No, I didn't think an F-350 would have that. Like,
it just,
or just
it,
even
The
that
wheel
era.
lock.
it
because
just locks the
It's a
hub.
very rudimentary, like.
Oh, it's very simple.
Yeah, it's not crazy. It's just a matter of like, yeah, technically, like, especially if we're like, I believe it's like safety concerns and like being able to tow.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just a standard safety.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
like you have to be able to lock a steering column as well as like the gear shift is usually just built into that as
It's
well.
the same
for
one.
theft.
Yeah, and I didn't know if 90s
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
cars had that.
80s and
So,
90s, I want to say, is when it's
luckily,
kinda
was
started.
common. Okay.
since this thing is so low priority, it doesn't have a keyed chip.
a
Yeah.
chipped key.
Right, because my dad,
Yes.
my dad
Yes.
had a F-150, like same year as your 350,
Yeah.
because his key could start my Explorer,
Yes.
and vice versa.
Right.
Yes.
If my key had a chip in it, it would not start without it.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
you'd be
Because that's
gone.
that's the verification to actually
Yes.
let signal happen.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
say, hey, everything else is okay because we see this chip.
So-
we don't have this, so it's not a problem.
Thank God it's a blank metal key that does basically nothing
Yeah.
other than just turn the key.
It just
the key
unlocks
slot.
your wheel. That's it.
Literally, that's all it is. So we're like, okay, screwdriver and vice grips.
Oh,
Fucking hammer a screwdriver in there. I think we
Yeah.
had a Torx bit clamped in the vice grips to break the pin out of the ignition switch.
Yeah.
Fuck.
We broke it exactly enough that we could move the wheel, no more, no less.
oh,
Because
well, that's good.
that will make it easier to pull this switch
Yes,
out in the
and
future
replace.
instead of destroying it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in theory, the key might actually be able to go back in there and pull it out. Because to remove an ignition switch, it's a little cylinder. You have to put the key in and then use that to pull it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Well, if it's all broken, that makes it much harder.
As long as you basically didn't damage the side fins for alignment, it should be fine.
I think it's fine. It's nothing really crazy.
Did you use the flathead?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, then yeah, it's just gonna splay it out.
Basically,
yeah, it
we
should be fine.
We beat that pin to the point where it could rotate.
Yeah.
And just used a flathead and a vice grip to rotate it until it
Nice.
finally cleared. I was talking with Michael on the way home. I'm like, if you didn't care about it and had the right tools, how long do you think this would really take you? He's like, easily under a minute. Like, you just break the dash off, rip 2 screws
Luckily-
out, fire it, and then turn the
Yeah.
switch.
Luckily, which we had talked about, it's like there's not a very high demand for 92 to 96 F series trucks. So.
If there is, this one's unbelievably recognizable.
Yeah,
It
true.
cannot be confused with any other truck on the
Yeah.
planet.
But luckily, there's not a lot of demand for them, so theft isn't really the biggest deal. So.
Yes.
Well, that's what the fucking Kia boys do.
Yeah, but they're not taking this, though.
Well, no,
Nobody
they're not
wants
taking
this.
that, but like
They
still-
won't, but
steal
I
the cars
will.
in 30
They will.
seconds.
They
Yeah.
will park the truck when the first amount of like tire unbalanced driving happens, aka
Oh,
10
God,
mile an
it's-
How
hour.
much force they have to put in it?
Yeah, they're like, what the fuck?
The
I
slower,
need to drive it to work one day.
so part of this trip is I'm gonna start driving it more around here.
Let's go.
Just
You'll
to get the
know.
tires
You'll know
beat in.
more
You'll
as we get
see
into
why.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck.
So
Yeah.
we get it started before we break the ignition switch, technically. So it's running
Yeah.
and it's just dripping coolant.
Yes.
I'm like,
Oh,
wait a minute. I'm
Oops.
like, that's new. I'm like, what's that about? He's like, I don't know.
thermostat.
Thermostat housing just started leaking.
Yep.
Like,
Common Ford-L.
it has never leaked before a day in its life.
Hey, my radiator
Oh,
did
wait,
too.
the-
I didn't even connect
Right.
that till right now.
Yeah,
I'm like,
thermostat
oh yeah, fucking
or the
coolant,
electric thermostat for
No,
your
no,
fan?
no.
No.
The factory
The
thermostat
housing.
housing
What?
on the
Inside
block.
of the engine block. Yeah.
So originally I'm like, oh, the hose clamps must be loose or something.
Yeah.
Nope, the actual housing on the
It's
engine
it's not
leaking.
it's almost a stream. Like it is one
It
of the
is
most aggressive
constant.
drips I've ever seen.
So it was like
Interesting.
under pressure pushing.
No, at
itself
like
out.
cold temperature, it was just
Yeah, it was
raining
120
coolant.
degrees maybe.
Holy
It was not even
shit.
like
Fuck.
up to temp.
Not even close. It was just
Yeah.
dripping coolant. I'm like,
Did it crack from the cold or something?
no idea. I'm wondering if when we took it down to Missouri to wheel with Trevor, it did get rather hot.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that was enough to
Oh.
soften up the shitty, apparently door and window silicone they used to put that housing
Yep.
on.
Yep.
Yeah, 30-year-old.
Not car silicone.
Yeah.
like
Very
door and window
different things.
caulk.
Yeah.
because it came off.
It
clear.
literally came off clear like
Probably.
like this fucking straw.
Yeah,
Like
it's not the
Wow.
right stuff. So we're like, okay, at least it's running. Broke the ignition switch.
We'll fix
back-
that later.
Backed it off by the cabin, and I'm like, okay, we can get this off, but we cannot seal it because we don't have a gasket or.
I thought I
any
had
RTV.
silicone. I did not. So
See,
instead,
this is why I feel like y'all need to order the make a gasket kit
Oh yeah, no, we
and
had
just
it
order
Well,
it.
no,
figured
it-
out.
and just have
luckily-
a couple sheets.
So what had
luckily,
happened
what
was-
Brian did was
So I'm like, okay, you guys start pulling that thermostat housing off. I'll run up to the main office building and see if they have any RTV there.
turns out they have
I-
a good handle.
I
I
pull up
would.
and I'm
I
like,
would.
I'm like, oh yeah,
expect.
like this is Attica Motorsports, like the largest Polaris dealer in the state. I'm like,
They're gonna have fucking.
I'm like,
RTV.
instead of going to the main building, I'm like, let's go to the service center.
yeah.
I'm like,
Oh, that's where I've never actually been in there.
it's remember in the back of the main building there used to be a little service
Yeah,
center.
it's everything just
It's
there.
exactly the
Okay.
same, just in there, and
Okay.
then there's a bunch of parts off
Okay,
in
fair
the
enough.
distance.
Okay.
So I'm like, they're like, hey, what do you need? I'm like,
RTV
like RTV
now.
for a thermostat. They're like, okay, like let's see what we got. Got a thing of Permatex Ultra gasket maker.
Perfect.
It was a little tube about yay, probably 8 ounces or whatever. $18.
Oh fuck.
I'm just like,
Yeah, that's the convenience
well-
part you're paying for. It's the fact that you don't have to drive to either Attica or anywhere
Yeah.
else to get that.
I'm like, that's fine. I need it. And they're like, oh, okay, this and that. I'm like, yeah, I just got here and I've had a hell of a morning. Like, they're like, oh yeah, this and that. I'm like, no, I left the keys at home. I had to break the ignition switch this morning. They're like, huh.
Oh, and now it's
Okay.
pissing coolant, by the way.
Yeah, they're like,
in case you didn't know. In case you didn't catch the reason I'm here buying this.
yeah, they're like, wow, that sounds awful. I'm like, it is.
It is.
Anyway,
Give me my fucking RTV.
I'm
Thanks.
gonna go. Of course. So I drove Dad's truck up there and back. Well, the to get to the cabins, there's like a road that kind of weaves through the other cabins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, one of those turns is just slippery, nasty mud.
Yeah.
Don't know why. The
I
rest
thought
of
there
them,
was gravel
That was
down.
all gravel.
Well,
used
it
to
gets
be.
packed, and then all the dirt and shit falling off
Oh.
of vehicles over the year.
That makes
yeah.
sense.
So like one of the last turns is like slime mud.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay. I'm like, well, we're momentuming through this, so I don't get this thing buried or have to switch it to 4.
Bogged down.
But so I get back. We pull the housing off. It's door and window silicone, which is
Yeah.
not
Which
what you
scrapes
use
off
for that.
easy, but then there's also a lip on the cap of the thermostat that Michael's like, I don't want that.
He's like, flatten this.
I'm like,
Flatten this.
so we're literally like, well, like let's find a brick. I'm like, well, there's a sidewalk. He's like,
Yeah,
okay, use that.
perfect. He's
so
like,
I'm sitting there, caveman fucking sanding this on
No,
the
you
porch. I
fucking
swear to God,
didn't.
That is-
like fucking caveman sanding on the porch of the fucking cabin. I'm like, Michael, here you go. It actually fucking worked pretty goddamn
That
well, I'll be
almost-
honest.
The proper term is lapping.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
You
yeah,
lapped it on the fucking
you literally like
concrete.
he's doing like a cross
That-
pattern in it and stuff.
that-
Like,
yeah, because there was a little bit of a high part. I'm like, okay, let me spin it and then like put some more pressure on the other side. Like, let's do this. And
That
it
is-
literally worked out pretty well.
Damn near like what we had to do last year because Michael beat the shit out of your drive shaft.
we sure did.
The flange, and so it was mushroomed out, and so I sat there rolling his tire with my foot
rolled
while
the tire.
Michael,
Oh,
or
yeah.
while Brian had a file on there,
I
filing the
filed-
flange down.
Yeah, imagine that, but it's with the concrete.
Yeah,
and you're just
just-
scraping it to get it flat.
You were redneck lapping, me and Brian were redneck lathe.
lathing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like, got that flattened out, threw some gasket maker on there, threw it on there, put all the hoses back on. Everything seems good.
Yep.
I open up the spare jug of coolant that I bought just for this.
Thank fuck.
It is the brightest, most aggressive
Oh,
green
yeah, did you-
I have
did you have a
ever
picture
seen.
of it?
Nuclear green is
Yeah, like
the
highlighter
most.
green.
I
Yeah.
did not grab a picture of it. It is.
Yeah. It is
like,
actually fucking crazy.
I have never seen a green that
It's
bright.
Rural King brand, wasn't it?
Yeah, Providence. It was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
$5 for a gallon or whatever.
Shit.
Oh,
Like-
also their brake clean. I forget what there's like 3 different types that they sell there. There's heavy duty, which isn't shit. There's like non ADF or like there's some other chemical in it, and then there's
Sure.
also like the base one. Like the best one is that non ADF stuff. It is exactly like the green can of Bracklene.
The OG Bracklene.
Yeah. And it's $3 less per can.
Yeah.
So I went in there. I'm like, I'm gonna spend $40 on brake clean. I'm like,
Like,
I
let
can
me-
get 3 times as much with this. I'm
Yeah.
buying the cheap shit.
Let me buy the
That's
case,
what I did.
please.
So, yeah, literally. Yeah, I think I bought 10 cans. So I'm like,
So
perfect.
yeah, no, I was gonna grab a picture of it because it is indescribably bright. Like,
Yeah,
it makes high vis look normal. It was shocking.
Providence.
Providence, yeah.
Do you have it here?
I don't know where that gallon of it.
I
Oh,
think
it's in the trailer actually. We'll look at it later.
Yeah,
But,
we
like,
can take a picture then.
I'll see if I remember to put the picture in this or not. I probably won't, so don't
Oh,
judge
that's
me.
I'll remind
concentrate.
It. We
This
thought,
was 50-50. I thought it was.
yeah.
Yeah,
They
That
thought it was
I was like,
concentrate
yeah, I
'cause
was
it
like,
was so
maybe it's
bright.
just super highlighter because there's not. And I looked at the can again. I'm like, oh no, it's just small letters. Like,
Yeah.
I'm used to the jugs that say like,
Oh.
50-50, do not add. This is like small.
way brighter. That doesn't.
Yeah,
even
no,
close to
that's
justice.
add another like
Let's say, no,
20%
that-
brightness.
That
That's
looks
a
dark.
lot.
That's dark green compared.
Yeah, no,
to
that's the coolant of my Fusion.
it. Probably glows in the dark. Like it is aggressive.
literally insane.
That's closer. It like I cannot describe it.
Jesus Christ.
It literally
It
has-
literally looked like you're like uranium glass glowing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's fucking nuts.
It had an aura around it. It was wild.
Did it really?
Wow.
It was so bright. Like
Even
it,
when we spilt over and it went on the
even close. That looks like
fucking
paint.
gravel,
It's crazy.
you could like very clearly see what was dripping on
it
the
looks
gravel.
like a penetrant dye test.
Yes.
where it's like it's an indescribable.
I was
color.
gonna say that
It's
actually
so
because I
bright.
had just cut the AC lines on the radiator I took out of the Jeep in the junkyard.
Yeah.
Like literally like
Oh.
that green.
Holy
It was
shit.
damn
It
near
was
identical.
insanely.
I
green.
remember I was gonna say that when we were there. I'm like, oh yeah, it reminds me of the oil that came out of the
reminds
AC thing
me
I
of
took.
home.
Would
Yeah.
it be close to Nickelodeon slime?
pretty close?
Damn
Pretty
close.
close.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
It's
More
it is
water
so
like
green.
mixed, but yeah, that
yeah.
same shade.
Like
I'd
that
say.
hue of it. Yeah. Shit.
ridiculous green.
Enough
Lord.
about coolant. Anyway,
I mean, there's never enough coolant
Do not
talk.
chug the $5
right
green
as
coolant.
we finished
So we put all the
putting the
coolant in
thermostat
there.
back together, is when Steve pulls up and starts unloading. So
Yes.
Perfect
it
timing.
worked out. Yeah,
Yeah, no
it's
shit.
noon at this point. By the way, we got here at
course.
10.
Yeah, he's
we were
like-
supposed to get there at 9. Luckily, we got all this shit done before anybody else showed up. But
Yeah, Steve's like, oh, how's the wheeling? We're like, we haven't left yet.
Yeah.
We haven't left the parking lot.
this is when I give him the rundown as Michael and Brian are like finishing up
He's
the
like,
truck.
didn't you get here at like 10? We're like, yup,
Sure
did. Explain all the things. He's like, wow. He's like, he's like, so
That
he has
sucks.
a old Cutlass. He's like, I started it just like that for years.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? He's like, oh yeah, been there, done that.
Just got to put a little piece of string on
Gonna
there.
reach in well, you have to push it is the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, put a
I'll
piece
just
of
flip it over upside down and
Yeah.
just have it on the bottom. When you hit your knee off, it just jams the starter in.
it'll pull a Elantra. It'll just kick the starter on.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, no. Don't you be mean to my Elantra. It was very good for the minutes it lived.
Correct.
But yeah. So finally we get all this shit done, throw our stuff in the cabin. We're like, okay, let's go. Because we've been up since
3 hours.
the better part of 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
To get
Yeah.
to here.
And
We're
you've been
like,
here
I
for 3
believe-
hours already.
Right as we were heading out to wheel, the wheelers pulled up as well.
So
Oh, and Maine.
Wheeling with the wheelers.
yes.
Yes.
So we were on our way down towards the park as they pulled up.
Yes, because I talked to them right as they were pulling in. Yep.
Yeah. So they were like, we're going to go back, unload, set the crock pots up, do some stuff. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we're going to head to the quarry and I'm just going to make sure nothing else starts
Yeah.
leaking so
Mm-hmm.
it's not working.
Yeah.
So we get
Test
down
drive.
in there.
Yeah, I basically asked Brian, I'm like, where do you want to go? Like, what are you trying to test first and, like, get a feel for?
Right.
And we were like, let's just go straight to the
Like,
quarry.
do what we do every year was go to the quarry, spend
Yeah.
all our time there.
And just sit outside of
So-
our trucks.
We literally get to the quarry and like the 4-wheel parts off-road banner to like enter the quarry, lock both hubs in 4 low and just idle. And you could just work the wheel like it's nothing. Like
Holy shit.
unbelievably smooth. I'm
Like,
like,
you got a fucking arm workout last year.
or actually,
yeah.
no, didn't do that. Left it in, or was that the first day? No, that was the second day. Never mind. Put it in 4, drove it all in, all the way there, effortless.
Mm-hmm.
Get out in the quarry, hit the little gatekeeper to hop up in there, crawls right up it.
Nice.
I'm like, this is good. So the back wall of the quarry's got probably 5 different lines spread out across it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
I'd say.
like, okay. I'm like, let's just start hard. So on the lower half of the wall on the right side, there's one that's pretty aggressive.
Is that
Mm-hmm.
that one that's...
Small. It's probably
They're-
about, it'd be about, like,
They're
belly height.
About 4 foot tall, probably.
Yeah, but it's not, you're not quite up on the actual big wall yet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Off to the right-hand side,
last
yeah.
year when we went, we had pulled up there, and I'm like, hey, lock that hub in. We idled up it. Remember that one? It's on the right side of
Yeah.
it. Effortless. Didn't even slow. It just bounced straight up it. I'm like, okay.
Nice.
I'm like, this is good.
Yeah. Keep in mind, his truck has no bed on it, so it's extremely nose heavy.
It's
so,
all
like,
front weight.
if you're getting traction, it's gonna climb because it's all the weight is on the front.
Yeah.
And that proved to be very useful.
So kind of circle around, hit a couple other lines on those walls. There's one that links the lower wall to the upper
At this
wall.
point, the wheelers had now came
Not
down
yet.
into.
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
It was because I caught them on the way out. So hit a couple lines.
Oh,
Everything's
that's true.
feeling
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good. There's like a smooth rock ledge on the left side of that wall to get up to the second level.
Yes.
That's like the easier way up.
Yeah.
I get up on that. The tires are spin, spin, stop, spin. I'm like,
yes.
hold
Yeah,
on.
this is one of the most vertical climbs. It's
Oh,
also
fuck.
pretty easy. But yeah, I'm watching, and I was right next to you. I was watching this. I'm like, huh, okay. I kind of thought something might I thought maybe a shifter popped out or the transfer case
Yeah.
popped out. I'm like, it literally just like stopped. I'm like, okay, like,
That's kind of what I thought.
and
at first.
you kind of
I'm
mess
like,
with it for a second,
I
and
back
then
up and kind of do it again. It did it really minor the first time.
yes,
I do it again, and it like full stop starts going, climbs up it. I'm like,
and that's what I watched. I'm like, maybe like the transfer case popped out, and he went down and grabbed it and held it in and got
Yeah.
up. I'm like, huh,
Yeah.
So I
that's weird.
remember a couple of times either your shifter popped out or your transfer.
the transfer case popped out the
popped.
first year because the linkage
Wasn't
to
adjusted.
do the transfer
right?
case, you have to pull it back, push down, then pull it back
Yeah.
and pop it up to get into 4 low. It wasn't popping up and down,
Yeah.
so it was kind of in between the teeth. It worked, but it was getting loose, or
Yeah.
it was loosely in each gear.
Yeah.
We had fixed that before we went to Missouri, so that was still working. That was working good now. So we're like, huh, that's weird. Let's just check the trans fluid. Like maybe it's a little bit low.
Yeah.
Pop it up. Not on the dipstick.
Oh fuck.
I'm like, that'll do it. Steve's like,
Yeah.
yep, that'll do it right there. I'm like, okay. Michael, you hop in with Andy. I'll just run back, throw some fluid in it, come back,
Yeah.
be good to go.
Yeah.
At this point, it's like 1:30. We've been out for like an hour.
Yeah.
yeah,
Man, maybe a little bit less than that, but still.
Hey, at least at this point, nothing is broke. It's just fluid.
Exactly. So I'm like, all right, I'll head back. You guys just ride around for a little bit. That way, Michael can see the park. He's never been there.
Yeah.
He can ride with Andy or Steve, who know the park pretty well and can show some cool stuff.
Yeah, because at this point, Michael has never been to the Badlands, so it was kind of like
Really?
you're showing him around and whatnot, and
So I'm
Doing
like,
the things.
yeah, I'm like, you guys go do like a loop or whatever. I'll head back, fill it up, whatever. So I leave. Actually, you go through what you guys did while I was gone first. 'Cause then I'll
basically we
explain.
did a loop of the quarry. It wasn't anything crazy. Because
I do have a video of you in the quarry now that we talk about it. Michael grabbed this while he was riding with
Wow,
you.
Michael recorded? That's amazing.
Yes, he did. So let's go full screen with this. If it'll load. Why is it not loading?
Damn.
Oh, it's loading. Okay. So this is the ledge by the pond.
yes.
I think is the only name we have for
it's
it.
the small ledge by the pond, which is way more deceiving than it actually looks.
It doesn't look that hard.
On Customer Appreciation Day, I had really tried to go to this left-hand line, which is what I'm currently on. This is even more so into it.
Is this over by the silo?
So
that concrete structure?
There's the hay barn.
Yeah.
The hay barn.
Yeah.
That's
So
what I'm
you go
thinking
hay
of.
barn around a V-notch, and if you keep coming around and drop down, this would basically turn
Okay.
you left back up towards V-notch.
Gotcha.
It's a
Okay.
weird spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally just like ledge by the pond because the pond is in the background.
Yeah,
of it.
right there.
So if you look in the video, basically over this way,
At Hangover Run, I know for like the one that you guys went to, we drove right past this. This is
several
a,
times.
as of 6 months ago, this was one of the least driven ledges in the park. But Steve saw it when he went on like Memorial Day
with the Liberty.
in the Liberty, and he's like, I want to hit that in Loki, and he came back and did it, and that was also on Customer Appreciation Day, which is when
So
I went out
everybody
there.
saw.
So we had like 8 people drive up it then, and then we came back to it again now, and since then it has been hit
been
quite a few more
opened up
times.
quite a
so
bit.
yeah.
So yeah, the what I call the south wall or the lower wall of the quarry is like right over here off
Okay.
camera.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
it's kind of a
Over here on the
lower
left
rock
side.
garden area. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically you come from there back around this little pathway and it brings you to this. And then V-notch would be straight behind us,
Yeah.
basically.
Another thing with this ledge is I struggled for probably 15 minutes on this at Customer Appreciation Day in the dry, and I really gave it a lot of beans and finally made it up that day. I also watched a XJ on 31s with a locked front and open rear make it up that day too, because
Jesus.
he hit the perfect line. It bounced beautifully.
It must have been stupid dry then.
It was, but yeah, he literally made it like beautifully, and he was super happy. And I'm like, I struggle when I'm locked on 35s. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
But like he hit the perfect line and it made it great. Since then, like I said, there's been a lot of people coming over it, so it's changed a lot. I was not able to make it up during this video.
It's
The
like, we'll
next day I was, and I wish we had the video for that because I gave it.
Jeremy Wilson from 8 Lug Productions filmed a bunch of stuff on
Yes.
day 2, but his video obviously isn't up yet because it's only been 2 days. So
Yeah.
once that goes up, we'll pull some clips out of there. And we can-
As well as Steve. I know Steve got a bunch. I know specifically Steve got a lot of me. I don't know if Jeremy got more of me because mine's mostly just a stock XJ.
yours looks exciting on camera. Mine
Yeah.
does not. Holy fuck.
It just
Well,
does things.
We'll show one of mine and you'll be like, oh, wow, that looks fucking lame.
And the other thing is too is most of these phone videos that I see are people standing up on top and not down
Yeah.
below.
You don't quite get a scale for how far
That's
up
why
they're
I
going.
loved last year when I brought the drone, because I just went out and over, so you saw the actual angle
You're getting
of
like
everything.
a 45-degree angle
Yes.
at it instead of looking
Yeah.
down at it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll just watch a little bit more of this, just kind of get a feel for what this
Yeah,
ledge
so
is.
I have had a vendetta against the left side of this wall since the first time I hit it, and I've only now taken out even more trees and stuff on that left line
Yeah.
because I keep seeing this line that I'm just not able to get, and both times I've made it up now, I was not where I was trying to go, aka way over
You
here
could
to
see
the
him
left.
way over on the edge of it, like
Jesus.
driving through the
But
fucking
there's a
bushes.
line there. I just was never able to get it. This is me literally ripping trees out.
Like, it's
Yeah,
almost
if you
there.
bounce just a little
I know
bit higher.
it's the line is there. The problem with this one is there's a rock right under my rear bumper, so I couldn't I kept kind of slipping my tires, or my bumper would slide on it, and my tires would slip a little bit, and that was kind of it.
It's still spinning.
Throw back to the drive shaft in that.
Steve's Jeep.
Oh yeah, Steve's drive shaft.
Lou's drive shaft, yeah. But literally, it's like,
Turn the other way and back up a little bit.
Passenger back up.
like
Drive
this
a little
ledge
bit.
is not
Work
easy.
on the brake.
like even on the best of days.
Like I said, this line is here, and if I think I had 37s, it would work. Like there's just a little bit of difference that I could make it. Nobody else wants to do this line because it like is in the fucking weeds. Where I saw that line, I'm like, I want to try it so bad.
Hey man, if enough
So
people do it, all that shit
this will be
die.
the very far left side of this is going to be my first line I hit with when I'm on tires.
Like on big tires.
And big tires. Yeah.
This is like wheelbase makes this obstacle so easy.
Yeah.
Oh,
also,
yeah.
I'm going to stretch my wheelbase probably another 6 inches. So
Yeah. But like, there's no doubt you're hitting it as much as you can.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Oh
It's
yeah. It's
just
pretty
barely.
violent. Yeah. You can see here my rear bumper is just like pogo sticking me to the point where I'm not getting traction on the rear wheels. So that is also something fighting me. This is
Yeah, 'cause
also
you're trying
where
to back
I don't know
up
if you
and
can
it's not
hear this in
moving.
the audio. My
should be
Jeep
able
got a lot louder.
Yes, about right now.
Yeah. So my off of the manifold, I have a clamp which I need to turn into a V-band. That way, it's actually fully secure. But yeah, it just came apart. So this
Sounds
is me.
good, though.
My rear axle's diffed out on the rock further back. That's my new bumper.
Hitting the rock.
Hitting the rock and doing something. I'm like, cool. It didn't like fully break the second I touched something with it. That's cool.
Oh fuck! There you go.
He gets all sorts of crooked.
That's me, breaking
Ah,
trees
damn.
and such.
The last little bit of that tree.
Yeah.
Trying to drive.
Literally, I was able to just pick up this tree and throw it away.
No,
I'm
I
like,
don't think you're
I
on
cleared the
anything.
line that I'm going to take the next time I'm here, and then I'm on tons. Can't wait.
Just doing some light brush clearing. Don't mind me now.
As he's running into the tree the whole time. Yeah.
I was gonna say it's getting
Yeah.
progressively louder.
Oh, now you,
Yeah,
now
now
you
you
can
hear
notice
it.
it starting to get a little bit louder each
Yeah,
time.
it was like half cracked, and so I had tack welded it just
Oh,
to
yeah.
try to hold it together. But yeah. I started getting all crossed up, and at some point I give up.
I think it's
Yeah.
right about here you drop out of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I'm like, I'll give up on it. It was definitely more slick this day than the next. That was the only obstacle I wasn't able to hit that day. But I also tried that left line a hell of a lot more than the right or the middle. The middle of the line was where I had made it the customer
The
appreciation
first
day.
time, yeah.
That's also the line to take if you can make it. Kyle Meng on 33s locked kind of open rear, it's a limited slip.
Yeah.
He was not able to
Lock-ish.
make it because he has a gas tank and a rear bumper that caught him up a lot.
It's never fun to beat the shit out of your fucking gas tank.
He was hitting it just as hard as my rear bumper was hitting it on that left line I was trying to take. But yeah, it's an interesting obstacle. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily hard.
Yeah.
It's
It's
just
technical.
It's just strange.
it's like the first, like if there was a percentage of like difficulty wheeling, if 30% is the cutoff from like entry level to intermediate, that would be the first obstacle you would hit to classify yourself as an intermediate wheeler.
yeah, to do your first like hard line.
Yeah.
Because you need to commit to throttle. You should do some sort of line choice. If you stick in the throttle too long, your front wheels, if they're spinning, it's very easy for it to pivot left and right,
Yep.
which Kyle Meng was not getting off the gas fast enough for my liking. I kept telling him, like, I did this, and once my front tires got up, I stayed in it too, and it shook me all the way left, and I almost rolled to the side over.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have a cage, so I'm like, and he also cares about his body and whatnot.
Yeah,
Like,
big time.
I'm like, dude, you need to like either be on the brakes faster or off the gas faster when you start to spin up top, because he just
It's
like me,
just
he
gonna
was
throw ya.
he was pogo sticking on his rear bumper, so all his front was doing was just turning him side to side. I'm like, you need to either steer into it, get on the brakes faster, or off the throttle, because it will shoot you fast. Because
You've
struggled
been there, done that.
I've struggled on this obstacle for like 45 minutes total. I'm pretty familiar with it. Whereas everybody else either makes it fast or not. I definitely have the most like active attempts on it.
Yeah. So while they're doing this, I'm heading back to the cabin to throw some fluid in the transmission.
Yes.
The main road in and out of Badlands is rough.
Yeah.
A lot of big
Yeah.
holes.
Big.
you know.
It's just big pothole, sandy road.
There's kind of no good way to get
No.
there.
yeah,
it's
you
kinda
you
washboardy in
serpentine
spots,
and weave
too.
throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as I'm going, I drop into a puddle because that's the whole road is that.
Fuck it.
And I'm like, ow, that kind of hurt.
This is right after
Whatever.
you talked to the wheelers and said that we were in the.
This was
quarry.
right before that.
Or-
I'm
oh,
on
yeah,
my
yeah.
way out.
Okay.
I met them right once you drop down the concrete or the paved hill and it switches to dirt. Talk
Okay.
to them like right
Yep,
there.
I know exactly what they were.
Yeah, so I'm on the way back just before the pavement, bouncing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I drop in a puddle. I'm like, ow, that was kind of hard. Whatever. Go to the brakes. I'm like, man, those feel awfully light. I'm like,
Oh.
like, don't tell me I just blew a brake line. I'm like, whatever, they're still working. I'll head back to the cabin, look at it there.
All you need is the fronts.
Yeah. So I'm get all the way back to the cabin, or I'm almost there. I bump into the wheels. I'm like, hey, they're back by the quarry. Head that way. You'll probably find them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I head back, pop the hood open. Of course, I can't see a brake leak because I'm not pressing the brakes while I'm there. So I'm like, okay. Go back in the truck, press the brakes, and I can see like steam almost.
It's a pressure washer at
I'm
this
like,
point.
I'm like, okay, something's really leaking.
I'll say, surely you have this video.
So I set my phone up on the engine bay, pointing down kind of towards the brakes, because I can see like the mist after.
Yeah.
And I'm like, something's leaking, probably a lot. I'm like, this should catch it, whatever. So I got this video right here, which shows it pretty well.
Yeah. So the master cylinder is just to the right.
Oh, and it's going right on your headers. How
Nah,
awesome.
The header's the other way, but
Yeah.
oh, did it not repeat? Let me see if I can get that to pull back up. That
Yeah, the master
was-
cylinder is just to the right. The steering shaft is just under it. You can see a small coil of brake lines, and that's exactly where the leak
Yeah.
was.
Here's
And if
my
you-
main master, and it just
Yeah.
follows right down, hits that. Header's right
As you can
here.
see, all of that is wet looking as well.
Everything in here is covered in brake fluid because it's flowing right from the
Damn
master,
it, I
so
just
it's always
fucking
full.
cleaned all up in there, too.
Oh yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah.
So you could see it, like you can hear me hop in and touch the brake pedal, and it just
all of a sudden turns into a pressure washer.
it literally just sprays. It is a ton of fluid.
Yeah.
I'm like, ah, fuck. I'm like, okay.
I can't believe you've done this.
Like, so I call O'Reilly's. I'm like, or the nearest O'Reilly's. I'm like, are you guys open? Yes. How late are you open? 8. Good to know. Hang up with them. Call Michael. I'm like, hey. I'm like,
Were you guys not running the radios?
I was all the way back at the cabin.
Yeah, we were
And
in
they
the-
were
they
out
were
in
in the quarry, yeah.
I had them stay out because I was going to go there.
I
right
guess
back.
with the amount
All
of
he was
trees
going to
there.
do was put ATF in and then come back.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I'm just like, whatever. I'll just call him. Like, there was pretty good signal that day somehow. So
Yeah,
I just
do you guys not ever get service out there?
no, it's usually pretty good, but it's like some parks you get none.
I get it.
I had great signal.
I was gonna say I had a full 5 when we were there last year.
Yeah, no, it was fine.
Even when Andy and I got lost for a little bit, I was able to call one of
Yeah,
you guys.
no, the signal was pretty good. So I called him like, hey, can you hear me good? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you know those brake lines on the front of the axle you're always giving me shit about? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I didn't blow those, but I blew a different brake line. He's like, God damn it.
Yep.
I'm like, do you want to put brake lines on this thing right now? He's like, I guess. I'm like,
Do I have an option?
I'm like, cool. I guess we'll do that now. If you guys want to make your way back here. I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah. So that would have been. So they start making their way back. I think, did Steve stay out with the Wheelers once you and Michael came back? Or did
no,
Steve
I think
go
we
back
all
with you?
came.
I think actually,
Oh.
yeah. I think everybody came back to the cabin at that point.
Yeah, because the Wheelers I only saw them for a minute. I want to say we headed right back.
Yeah, you guys like pulled
Or no,
down
the
and
Wheelers
then-
stayed out and spun around. And me and Steve went back out. After
That's
we-
right. Yeah, I was trying to remember who
sent you
exactly
guys
went
off,
where
yeah.
and did what.
Yeah, because at this point, the Wheelers were only out for like 45 minutes at most.
Yeah,
It's
not-
maybe 2 o'clock. I
Oh
wanna
yeah,
say.
maybe. I don't know if I have anything with timestamp it. Probably not, but
Mm-hmm.
it's probably the better part of 2 o'clock. Maybe 3 if we're really pushing it, but
Yeah.
somewhere in there. So I'm like, it's one coil. It goes from the master down and bolts in on the frame. So I called him, let him know, kind of what was going on. I'm like, I'm gonna start loosening these up so when he gets here we can just go.
Yeah.
So I put a wrench on, or an adjustable wrench because that's what's in my tool roll. Well, Andy had a bunch of tools in his Jeep. So adjustable wrench, I got them both to break loose without ruining anything. I'm like,
No, bull fucking shit.
I
I can't tell you how many fucking times I've gone to do that and it just
you
either
round the
rolls the
fitting.
fucking line or it strips itself, but it won't back
The
out.
line was flexing pretty good, but it
Well, I
didn't
mean,
strip the fitting. I'm just like,
Thank fuck.
I'm like,
Holy
okay. I'm like,
shit.
this is outstanding. That's when they pulled up, and I'm like, I loosen it. It drips brake fluid like right next to my eye. I'm just like, I'm gonna go wash this off right now. I'm just kind of got up, cleaned it up, and that's when they pulled up.
Yeah.
He's like, is this thing junk? I'm like, oh yeah. Fuck. So
It's shitted.
we pull it the rest of the way off. The line breaks in half because
Well,
old rusty fittings, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. I'm like, we're gonna go to the nearest O'Reilly's. It is 40 minutes away in Lafayette.
fucking Christ.
Like the first thing, they're like, did you call and see if they're open? I'm like, already did that.
Yeah.
He's like, awesome. So we grab the brake lines, hop in Dad's truck, and head that way because it's like, There's nothing else to do other than load it
The
on
Wheelers
trailer
did come
and be
back.
done.
We had a late lunch. That's actually what happened.
Oh, did you guys eat while we were gone?
We all ate a little bit, and then me and
okay.
Steve were going to come out. The Wheelers went out because they were kind of itching to go. Me and Steve sat back at the cabin and bullshit for like another half hour, and then we went out. And as we
rode in Steve's
yes,
Jeep
as
out.
we were leaving, I had my Jeep running, and Steve had his. He's like, "Well, you can ride passenger." I'm like, that actually makes even more sense because I have all the tools in my Jeep, so I'll leave it right next to Brian's truck. That way, when he comes back, he can have his tools
He's
and be
got
ready to
shit,
go.
yeah.
If we're not able to come right out, which we weren't.
They were
and
not.
I'll explain that later.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So we hop in Dad's truck, unhook the trailer, drive to West Lafayette O'Reilly's.
Okay.
On the way there, we probably saw 10 cops.
Jesus.
They
Wow.
were fucking everywhere. Like, you'd pull up to a stoplight and you'd see like 2 of them lit up on the side of the road and like 1 way down the road. I'm like,
What the fuck?
I'm like, what
oh,
is
so
going
they had lights on.
there was like one that I think was an accident but didn't look like an accident. I think somebody had like a
little
heart
fender
attack
bender.
or something.
Oh, fuck.
There was like one yellow car like poked against the guardrail, not broken, and like 4 lit up cars around it. I'm like,
Shit.
whatever this is, let's just get away from it because it's
I've already
not
had
good.
a bad enough fucking day.
I'm like, I'm sure that. Well, of course, as we're pulling up, I'm like, seatbelt, 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 seatbelt. 'Cause the seatbelt minder's off in the truck.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is yours on? He's like, yeah. I'm like, mine's on too. Okay, we're good. Like, just gotta verify. Like, it's like so.
We're not breaking the law, right?
Yeah, we already had them on, but I'm like, is yours on? Is mine on? Okay, we're good. Like, you just have to think of that because the seatbelt chime doesn't work. We turned
Yeah.
it off in the truck because if you're backing up 5 feet and it's fucking ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
It's
shut up.
annoying. Yeah.
So I'm like, is your seatbelt on? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, good. I'm like, don't have to worry about it, but it's like, you just got to run that check. You're like, is it on? Are they going to arrest us? Because that truck's not tinted. They can easily see if we are or not. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, we're good here. Like, we'll just keep going, not worry about it. Get to the O'Reillys. So they have like pre-formed double flare sections.
Okay.
One of them's about 14 inches. One of them's about 5 inches, whatever. We brought both the fittings, so we knew what we needed. I'm like, they didn't have the right combination of stuff so we get the right fitting on both ends. So we had to flare our own line, which was fine. So we got the 2 sections of short line, a thing of ATF for the truck, got just like a gallon jug,
Yeah.
a big thing of brake fluid, both fittings, I think something, and a tubing cutter. So literally we're at the counter, like talking to the guy, like we're going to flare this right here. Like we're not going to leave. We're not going to borrow the tool.
Yeah.
Like we're going to do it right here at the counter. He's like, I don't care. Sure. Whatever.
Fuck it. Go for it,
So we had
man.
to cut one fitting off, we had to reuse the old fittings. They didn't have, no, we did. We ended up finding the right one for that, I think. No, we didn't. We used the old fitting on
Yeah, I
one
want to
side.
say you
Good
reused
Lord,
the
make
one
up
old
your
one.
fucking
I'm
mind.
trying to remember. I am literally so sleep deprived and like ruined for being sick that like my brain is fogged as
I
shit.
believe it.
Well, like on the way when we were leaving Saturday or Monday, Jesus Christ.
Holy fuck,
Like
man.
I'm literally like,
Are you trying to explain your answer? You explained your answer.
yes,
Yeah.
literally. It's like we're going to leave.
Oh,
And he's like,
shit.
oh, hey, you owe me money still. I'm like, yes, money exists. Yes. Like my brain is just like cycling. Like it's just
Currency
lost.
is a thing.
I'm just like,
Capitalism
I'm like,
exists.
Yes, I do. I'm just like
Yeah.
brain fog all weekend. It was nasty.
Yeah.
But so go there, flare the line in there. Don't like the first flare, cut it off, do it again. Get it all put together.
Usually the first one's always shit, too.
Yeah. Well, you have to remember how to use the tool every
Yep.
time. Because the instructions
Are
tell you
shit.
they tell you how to make a single flare and then how to make a double flare. So if you follow the instructions, you'll make it wrong and then have to try to fix it.
Yeah.
So you have to like skip like step 4 and jump to step 5 or
Yeah.
something weird. But got it. Everything looked good. Headed back. He's like, those bleeders on your calipers don't work, do they? And I'm like, oh, definitely not. Like, there's no chance they open to bleed because it was for the front side. The backs were good. It's for the front calipers, which do most of the work.
Fuck.
And he's like, those bleeders don't open, do they? I'm like, no, definitely not. He's like, okay, we'll figure something out. So we put the new line on, just put 2 bends in it, pretty simple line. Go to bleed the fronts by cracking there's a, I'm trying to think of how it is on that caliper. There's like a nut with a fluid behind it, essentially. It's not the bleeder, but it like blocks a passageway. So we just opened that, pushed fluid out. We essentially bled it by, instead of using a little bleeder, like a giant opening.
I mean, hey, it's better than
So there was
nothing.
going to be air in there, but for the most part, it actually went pretty good. I'm like, okay, that feels good. Pour some trans fluid in there. He leaked it all over the header, which is awesome.
Hell yeah.
How do you clean a flammable thing off the header?
Brake clean.
Take brake clean and just hose it down. I'm just like,
Yeah, but brake clean at least will evaporate.
I'm like, that's also
At some
flammable.
point, yeah.
He's
At
like,
some- yeah.
yeah, but it'll be fine. I'm like,
just leave the hood open.
yes, technically. So started up, bleed the brakes a couple times, or bleed the brakes.
Hey, it's not like there was
started up.
sparks shortly after this or anything.
Not even
Oh,
close.
Jesus fucking,
It's so hard.
I felt
Just gotta
so
tease
bad.
that.
Felt so bad this weekend. I was like, man,
No,
I kind of wish I would have went.
There
and
wasn't
now
a lot
after
you
hearing
could have
this,
done. It was just
fuck no.
It was just a
I
shit
could have been a
storm.
fucking.
You made
Oh,
the
yeah.
right
Wrench
choice.
monkey.
You made the right choice staying.
No,
home.
like even like Michael was on it. If he wasn't, Brian was. I didn't do anything besides like sand the like. I was,
But you were there
hardly
to help.
even. Yeah, hardly even there doing much.
yeah.
I would have
But
just
yeah.
been there for
So, okay.
drunken moral support.
Get the transmission filled up.
Yep.
Get the brakes
Brakes
filled up.
bled-ish.
They're pretty, they're bled, whatever. So we take off. At this point, they are out messing around in the creek side
We
by
had
the
just
by the quarry.
We had just come out of. Look at your messenger real quick and try to pull that picture
you
up.
just send me a fresh one?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So while
That's what I
Brian
was hoping for.
Brian had told us, hey, you have an hour and a half, maybe an hour, like 2 hours total.
Yeah, 'cause it's
by the
40
time we
minutes
get there
each
and come
way.
back, like we're gonna be gone for a while. I'm like, all right, cool, fair enough. So me,
video?
Steve, and the Wheelers. It's just Steve's Jeep. Yeah, that one. Steve's Jeep and the Wheelers Durango, which is on
shit.
31s, and open front, independent front suspension.
Independent.
Independent.
So we just kind of start cruising around after we come out of the cabin, me and Steve. We go meet up with the Wheelers, doing some trails, back to the quarry a little bit. At some point, I say, oh, Steve, I have not been all the way up the creek on the quarry side.
Mm-hmm.
You can go through the tubes, down the creek, and it like wraps all the way back to like almost the parking lot.
Pretty much the whole park. Yeah.
Pretty much the whole park. I have not been to the tippy top of the start of the creek near the quarry. He's like, oh, actually, you saying that reminds me of a spot that my buddy Mike Wolf had. There was something going on with. He's like, oh, I want to find a spot that Mike did this thing at.
Right.
Okay.
There's a reason he wants to go back
I'm
there.
like, all right, cool. So we go up there, and then all of a sudden, we get to the top, and we kind of there's a little pull off the creek, and there's one little like U-turn to kind of shoot us back down towards the quarry on the other side of the creek. Essentially, it's just a U-turn. Essentially, by you come out of the creek, you take a left turn, then your U-turn facing the quarry. But granted, it's a ways away, and we're in the middle of the woods, but whatever. And we start pulling down, and we look at this 3 posts, like garden stakes, the green stakes, whatever.
Little plastic ones.
No, like
Metal
the
ones.
metal
Oh,
ones.
the
like T-posts.
Yeah, T-posts.
yeah, T-posts, yeah. So there's 3 of those sitting there. I'm like, huh, why are those there?
Uh-oh.
And we look over, and there's just it's a marsh full of cattails. We know there's water here. And I go, huh, probably that, because I grew up on the Illinois River, like I'm used to low water or
The
low
symptoms of water in
areas
low areas.
full of water with cattails and the typical weeds growing in those places. I'm like, yeah, that's wet. And Steve's like, well, let's creep out there. And we creep out. We're in.
That sounds like a horrible fucking idea.
It is. Yeah.
Well,
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
It is.
believe it or not.
We creep out there probably 20 feet, and it's fine. And I actually, to the point where I'm like, hey, I'm gonna take a piss real quick. I'm gonna hop out real quick, and we kind of walk around. We're fine. 20 feet ahead of us is where Steve all of a sudden decides, or where the earth essentially decides to simply fall
To
away.
just
at.
say, hey, get fucked.
Yeah.
So for reference, here's Steve. Oh, fuck. God damn it. Here's Steve's Jeep
Yes.
on dry ground. 40-inch Coopers.
Yeah.
Lifted probably about 5
4.5,
inches.
5 inches,
Yeah,
yeah.
somewhere in there total.
Wow.
It's big.
Yeah.
She sits tall.
Not crazy
Not,
tall,
not
but like.
tall, but the tires are huge.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
And both of the axles have a ton of ground clearance, actually.
Yes. So there's his Jeep. Let me back out and pull up the picture Andy just sent for
Yeah.
comparison.
So, like I said, the ground just fell away after I took my piss. This is the cover photo for
Goes
the
hard.
Patreon for Total Offroad.
Yeah.
As you can see in the background is the Wheelers Durango,
On
which
safe
was our
dry ground.
now recovery point with no winch. And Steve, who just did a bunch of work on his, decided to take off his rear hitch because he has a bumper to put on, but didn't decide to put the hitch back on for this trip.
There's
so there's
no
now
tow
0
points.
recovery points.
Are
which
you gonna have to pull from the axle?
Which I specifically was bitched at about pulling off of the axle for this.
For this exact
For this
reason.
should've just
exact
been like,
fucking reason.
If only you had a recovery point back here.
I swear to God, I probably annoyed them with how much I'm like, I get bitched at for doing this, but the cult leader of the Total Offroad Podcast does it, and no one's going to bat an eye.
Nobody.
I guarantee it.
I
I
would've
built
re-
a bumper.
I would have recorded the whole thing and just be like, this is
dude.
fucking evidence, Steve.
Oh,
Cult
God,
leader.
yeah.
Jesus
And
Christ.
so, yeah.
Jesus
Jeepsus
Christ.
Rice.
Jesus
actually.
Rice.
We
Yes.
should get him a
Jeepsus
shirt that
Rice.
says
He
that.
probably
That
already
was
has
his
one.
name in the chat for a long time. Was
Sounds like-
Jeepsus Rice.
Sounds like a Blip Shift shirt.
It
Damn
does,
near,
actually.
yeah. He
But
is.
yeah.
He is the Jesus of Rice.
Yes.
Anyway.
So remember those 40-inch tires? Yeah.
Notice
they're,
how there's only about, I don't know,
15 inches
10
of them
inches,
showing.
10 inches of
Yeah.
them showing on the front. The rears are fairly up. The front
Yeah.
is swamped.
The axle's completely underwater. Like you can
Yes.
barely see tie rods sticking out. Like it's
Yeah.
way the fuck.
Yeah,
in
the
there.
passenger side, which I had to get out of, I basically shimmied. I got out of the door, stood on the rocker, shimmied to the back tire, jumped to my safety. I'm like, damn, this sucks, Steve.
Good Lord.
Why are
I'm
we
like,
here?
hey, if you don't give it any throttle, we can winch to the. There's a huge tree on the through this lower area. Like it's a spring. It's a natural spring.
Yeah.
pumping
So that's
water.
what those T-posts
It's
were for.
soft all
it
the time.
sure
yes.
is.
I'm like, hey, we can winch through this as long as you don't give it too much throttle. Your winch,
Just let the winch
The
pull
tree
you.
was up the hill a bit,
Oh,
so it would have
perfect.
had an incline. I'm like, it will lift the front of the Jeep
Yeah.
up as long as you don't spin the tires and dig yourself back down. It should let you skim across this
Yeah.
if you just put it in drive and
just
let
float.
it idle.
Don't let it pull suction and sink
Yeah.
this
Yes.
thing.
Yeah, as long as you literally just like off the brake, put it in drive, it will just turn the tires just enough.
Match your ground speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, to the winch speed. Yes.
Yeah.
He's like, it's soft. I'm not doing that. I'm like, where's your recovery point on the back to do this recovery? You
What are you gonna
imagining
do?
in
Be
your
a
head-
crazy man and tie to the fucking axle? You
Yeah.
jag off.
Turns out he said, yeah, exactly that. I'm like, I swear, I'm literally
that's
living at this
crazy.
point. I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. Anyway,
I
I
would
don't
have said
care.
good fucking luck.
Whatever.
I'm walking
Yeah.
back.
So we have a 10-foot tree saver wrapped around his rear axle. It's a giant soft shackle essentially. From that we have Steve's 20-foot
Kinetic rope.
attached to another 20-foot kinetic rope attached to the Durango.
Because that's where dry ground used to be. Is
Yeah,
way
like
the
so.
fuck over
So
there.
there's kind of 3 levels. There's the Durango level, which is actual dirt. There's a little bit lower level, which is where I took a piss 20 foot back, which was basically just a
Mushy, but not-
It's 1 foot of just layers and layers and layers of grass. So much so after this, I was walking and Steve said, hold on, jump up and down real quick. And I jumped. I was able to move up and down both the other 200-pound men on this
You're
plane
essentially-
of grass.
You're on a sandbar made of grass
Yeah.
at this point.
But it's a balloon, and I'm able to bump them up an inch. They're like, holy shit. And then Nathan's wife, Jordan, comes down, and Steve's like, stay there. And Steve starts jumping, and she's like, what the fuck is this?
You're like, this is
Like,
not
it is
ground.
Freak of
just
nature.
shit.
This is some goofy shit.
But yeah, so we start the recovery. Nate did
didn't you
good, except for the last 3 pulls. I could see his frustration climbing. What was actually happening was every bump I gave it, or every bump I'm like, do a 1 to 2 foot little run, and it's just gonna bump. Both of the
because the
synthetic
kinetic rope
ropes,
will pull it.
They will suck up that energy and then pull Steve back. Granted, the Durango didn't move at all, but the Jeep was. The Jeep was
Yeah.
moving 6 to 8 inches every bump. He probably gave it 20 bumps. It worked out
That's
perfect.
a lot of bumps.
But
Instead of binding up
Oh,
and
yeah.
spinning the Durango and sinking it there,
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
you
but
slowly bounce
the
it.
driver of the Durango thought, "Oh, I'm not making any progress. I need to keep giving it more." I'm like, "No, you truly do not." Especially with the fact that, God forbid, we're secured around the axle and it's gonna rip it out and blah 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 blah. Anyway,
Bullshit.
I'm like, no, genuinely, it's doing so much more than you would ever imagine. I promise. It worked out perfect. There was a big tree just behind Steve's Jeep. Do you see that little branch there to
yeah.
the left? Yeah.
So is it
Down
falling?
down a little bit.
Down.
Right there, right on your mouse, right
Oh,
there. Up
yeah,
low.
you could see it
You
right
can kind
here.
of just barely see a tree there. There's a tree there, and then there's a tree laying down too. There's 2 trees there. I hooked one of the ropes to the Durango, the single one, pulled both of those out of the way so that Steve eventually started putting it in reverse and started giving it gas to try to help the Durango. Like when
Get
the
the momentum
Durango
started.
gave the tug, his wheel speed would kind of match and help a little bit.
It would help just carry that momentum.
Problem
back.
is it was still so soft that he was stinking. My problem was, I'm like, if you get the center point of your tire under that tree
You're
and
fucked.
you meet it, it's gonna suck the tree up into your wheel well. And now I don't know what to
Now
do.
you have to go forward somehow to get it out.
So I'm like, let's stop. Let's pull these trees away, and then it doesn't matter how sunk you are
Yeah.
until we get all the way back. A whole bunch more bumps later. Like I said, Nate was getting more frustrated as it went on. We eventually got it down to one rope, so we're only 20 foot off. Finally give him... Nate was... I could tell this is his... Like, all... He's like, I'm giving it a fucking bump. And I'm like, as I'm telling him, like, little bump, little bump. He gave it one bump. It popped Steve up just enough. Steve got a little bit of traction. Fucking drove right out. I'm like, that worked. But I could tell that Nate was getting mad just because he felt like he was doing nothing. I'm like, dude, we pulled him 10 feet and you thought he only went 1.
Yeah.
Like, we're good.
Sitting there just
Fair
bouncing over and over and over.
Yeah,
again.
it worked
Yeah.
almost fucking
So can we
perfect.
go ahead and play this clip?
This is
No,
not
no,
good.
that was not. That
Oh,
was
it's
the
just a
that was just the
picture.
thumbnail for the Patreon for Total Offroad.
Oh, gotcha.
Because
Yes.
I didn't get a picture of this. I was the cameraman and what do you call it?
rope guy.
Rope guy. Yeah, I was the recovery guy.
assistance expert.
Yes. For this operation. So I'm like holding the phone, doing this. I'm like putting it in my pocket, connecting ropes, doing this, run back. I'm standing on that down tree, getting angles and stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, brutal. Meanwhile, it's like we got back and finished putting the truck together, or we got back about 5. Andy sends me a Snapchat of this
Like
situation.
5:10, I send him this.
Yeah.
So we just about get out of this situation when he finishes the brake line.
I put everything together, drove down to the quarry entrance.
And
At about,
went,
it was
"Where are
about
my
5.
friends?"
It was about 5:40 when they met me there.
Yeah, we met
Christ.
exactly at the at the sign of the quarry. I'm like, hey, we're here now. Cool.
So of course we're on the side. We'll let's open the hood, check the trans fluid, check the brake
Yeah.
fluid, whatever.
Everything's
By
up
the
and
way, this is
moving.
also now dark. Like
It's just barely dark. Yeah, it's about 5:40.
Steve wanted to actually. This was not the spot that he thought Mike had done, or he wanted to find that something. So in some relevation of Mike,
etc.
turns out, I'm like, let's not do this at dark.
Yeah.
Let's do it tomorrow when
Yeah.
there's light, and we could probably
Come
find
out in the morning,
Find
hit
the,
this
find the
first.
spot you're thinking of, Steve. He's like, that's probably the best idea. I'm like, yeah, considering we almost just buried your Jeep, yeah, let's
and
do that.
already spent 40 minutes recovering it.
Yeah, I'm like, let's just go ahead and do that, just for safety's sake.
Yeah. So I'm up on the main road, just kind of checking stuff, checking fluids, whatever.
Yeah, not even 2-3 minutes later, we show up.
Yeah.
Worked
So we
out
got the
pretty
hood
well.
up, whatever. Everything looks pretty good. We're like, okay, great. Go to close the hood. For some reason,
Oh,
it's
fucking
way
hell.
off center to the driver's side and hits all the circuit breakers mounted on that fender and just sparks. I'm talking like a 6 or 8 inch ball of sparks, like boosh. And we're like, oh God, right back up. Like, what the fuck was that? I'm like, it's never once touched that fender
No,
ever.
and that hood has always been totally fine.
None of the bolts have ever been loosened. It's always been centered. We're just like, what the fuck is
Man,
this?
you had to work out some fucking gremlins
No, we
on
didn't
this
do it.
trip.
They didn't do anything to cause this. It was literally just like, oh,
Well,
what the fuck?
I don't know if it was like my current hypothesis is that so when you turn the wheel, the ram pushes the axle, which then flexes all the linkage connecting to the body.
Oh,
I'm
fuck.
wondering if it was bound up just a little bit.
Yeah, if
which
you would have done a
twisted the front
steering
end.
wheel shake
Yeah.
just to kind of center it all, it might have straightened up.
That's my
Maybe.
current hypothesis.
That
'cause
that's
it was
likely,
just a
yeah.
little bit
Yeah.
bound up and twisted.
F350 was just throwing a protest.
It was
to you.
not happy. So
Does
I'm like,
that shit at work
This is-
all the
yeah.
time.
So I'm just like, okay, it was the circuit breaker for the trailer brake controller. Luckily, the least important thing on the
Yeah,
whole
who gives
truck.
a shit?
Yeah.
So we cut the wiring out on it. You know those little square breakers? I'll see if I'll pull one up actually, just for convenience.
The relay or the breaker?
I think it's just a breaker.
Okay. Yeah, essentially,
These guys.
we are
A stud
ready
circuit.
to throw in the towel today.
You pop that up on the screen.
As far as for the F350.
So it's one of these guys. They're mounted inside the fender with the studs facing out. It hit it so hard it broke this thing in half.
Holy shit.
Aren't those potted?
I have no idea, but they were broken in half. It
Wow.
took one of the studs clean off of it. Like
That's
like,
surprising.
it broke the
Yeah.
case of it out on
Holy
that half.
Shit.
Like that's how far
I mean, don't get me
off-
wrong. Your hood is fucking heavy.
Yeah.
But I couldn't
It-
imagine that.
It was the coiled spring on the hood that hit it. Like the part that actually
yeah.
runs the hood up and
Assists.
down. It smacked right into that and broke it clean in half.
Oh, fuck.
And sparked like crazy.
I mean,
'Cause
that is a lot of potential energy.
It put, say, 30 amps through the hood
Holy
hinges.
shit.
We're just like, Jesus, like, okay, apparently we're not closing the hood right now, so cut
Yeah.
all that out.
How many amps does it take to kill a guy? Like half an amp?
It's, you know,
It's
Point-
fine.
0.75?
We
it's not-
live.
It depends.
That's the important
it
part.
depends, yeah.
Well, you
but-
got paint on there.
So
no,
essentially-
it didn't arc to us. It just
Yeah.
sparked. I'm just like, okay, that's awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
fuck.
Luckily, it's dark, so the sparks are fucking bright as hell.
Yeah.
Like, everybody saw it. And
Give
we're
yourself welder's flag.
like, hey, what the fuck was that? I'm like,
Essentially, cut the wires, throw in the towel, and then you decide to park the truck. For
literally,
the night.
I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
it's not a bad idea.
It's 6 o'clock. I do not trust this thing at this moment to not burn down
By the way-
in the middle of the trail at night.
So since New Year's was on Sunday instead of Saturday,
Yeah.
the park closes at 5 o'clock on Sunday.
Yes.
Ugh.
Where
we only have
normally-
2 extra hours, so we only get till 7, as opposed to the last couple years when we've had till 9 is when the regular
Yeah.
extending hours
Because
were.
normally it's a Saturday night, so
So then we get to 11.
Normal
with the
hours are
extended
extended
after, with
to-
cabin and whatnot. Yeah.
No, normally it's extended to 7, and we get till 9.
No.
No, are you sure?
Regular on Saturday was 7, or like a regular
A regular weekend is
a
7?
regular weekend is 7. Yes.
Okay, I thought a regular weekend was still
A regular
5
weekend is 7.
regardless.
Extended hours were 9, and then we got the cabin, so we had 11. Because I remember specifically 2 years in a row, we came back at 11.
I thought it was 9 last year.
I could have
really did.
swore to God
I
we
think
had
the
to be out
fir-
by 9.
The first year
night-
was 11. The
Yeah,
first year was
one night
definitely
I
11.
specifically remember texting back at 11.
Yeah, I remember last year was definitely
Oh,
9 though.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
You're
'cause
right. You're right.
We got back early. Marcus
I mean,
and
that
went
would've-
to the grocery store.
It was probably also Sunday last year, just from the long weekend or something.
Possibly.
but
I don't know. I don't remember a lot from
Shit don't-
last year.
Well, also,
because
we usually
I
only go
maybe
out
slept like 6
one
hours
night,
the entire weekend.
not 2 nights in a row.
Yeah, it's-
for the extended riding
Regardless,
hours, whatever.
it's
yeah.
like 6 o'clock. I'm like, I don't trust this thing enough to drive
I'm
at
While
night.
it's still running in one piece in the somewhat like light, it's not
Yeah.
completely pitch back out. Let's just
Right.
park
Yeah, I'm
it.
like, okay. I'm like, here's what we'll do. I'm like,
Yeah.
because Andy's Jeep is still back at the cabin because I had all his tools
because I'm still
there.
riding with.
He was riding with Steve. So
yeah.
I'm like, okay, Michael, you hop in with Steve. I'll take Andy back. We'll get in his Jeep and then meet you guys back here. Instead of like me
The
trying to
whole-
go
all
back
of us
and
come
find,
up
or all
and-
of us
yeah.
go back.
Yeah.
There's also only
Yeah.
45 minutes. Like once we get up to the checkout, there's one guy sitting there like making sure nobody's coming in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I literally told him, I'm like, I know I only have 45 minutes to go out with these guys, but I see my friends over there. He looks over, he's like, oh yeah, I see headlights.
Yeah.
I'm like, literally that worked out perfect. But I'm like, yeah, like we're gonna meet up with them, do 10, 20 minutes of trail riding, and we're gonna come back out.
And he's
So,
just like, whatever.
he's like, all right.
he doesn't care.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we went and rode around. Well, first off, Andy and I knew where they were because as we were pulling in, we could see them down the hill at the little
Yeah.
like off-road obstacle course.
Yeah, like straight across
Yeah.
from the check-in. We saw their headlights.
And then somehow it took us half an hour to find them
Because
because
20 minutes. Yeah.
as we're coming like to find them, they left the other way. They went back towards the quarry.
and just so happened to take a trail that we could not see them at all on. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Like,
okay.
what's
So-
over there? Orange or red?
yes,
both,
both.
yeah.
Orange, red, yellow, and I think green even.
I
Like
think
everything.
begin
yeah.
over there.
So when you're coming on the main road, it's the left side where it's
Yeah.
all those tight switchbacks up and down with like
Yeah.
brush everywhere. You
Yeah.
can't see.
Fucking
Yeah, apparently we
Painted
just
side.
happened to miss them, and they sat out in the dunes waiting for us for 10 minutes or so.
Yeah,
we eventually finally get out and find them. We do another 10 minutes of trail riding, and then that was about it.
Yeah, literally like
So.
we're just cruising around at night. Like I'm in Andy's Jeep. We're following the Durango and Steve. It's just literally the 3 vehicles.
There was one group of side by sides I think that was also out that
There's
night.
a group side by side,
and maybe like
the Broncos. I think were out for.
yes,
a
the
little
Broncos.
Bit.
There's a group like 4 or 5 Broncos as well.
I have a
Yep.
picture of them. I'll have to pull up too.
Yeah.
One of those Broncos caught air.
I saw that.
It was like,
yeah.
It was like a foot and a half off the ground.
I
Wow,
saw
good
that,
for
yeah.
that,
Like,
dude.
Okay, they're fucking wheeling, but
really stretching that warranty, huh?
yeah, no shit. Yeah, but yeah, we rode around for a little bit. Everything went relatively good. And we're like, okay, it's basically 7 o'clock. We're done for today. Like,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
nothing left.
Yep.
My truck's already parked.
You guys hadn't ate that night, did you?
We had not had any food at all.
Yes,
I hadn't
that's
had
right.
any food the entire day
Mm-hmm.
because I
Sounds
woke
like me.
because we stopped at Casey's in the morning, like here in town.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
Michael grabbed something.
Michael grabbed like some pizza and some stuff.
I had a breakfast burrito. I had, like I said, I had a bowl of chili at lunch when we stopped and when before me and Steve bullshitted.
at like 2, 3
before we
o'clock or
Yeah,
whatever.
we came back out. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, definitely 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Where it was like, Andy wasn't sure if we grabbed something when we were out getting brake parts
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. So we get back. We haven't had any food basically all day.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's like 7:30. I'm like, let's eat. Like, we're
Hungry.
done. Like, I'm exhausted.
So yeah, Jordan starts whipping up, like turning on the crock pots, making sure kind of stuff's out ready to go.
Yeah.
We start snacking and eventually eat
Yeah. There was
um,
pulled pork,
chili.
chili,
What a
peanut butter
wonderful
sandwiches.
fucking woman.
You know you're supposed to eat peanut butter sandwiches with chili?
What?
It's a like
That's a thing.
depression thing. Like
It's
it
a
gets you way more full. Like
poverty
bread
meal.
gets you full, peanut butter gets you full, and like when you only have a little bit of meat and beans,
Oh, okay.
you might as well make
I-
it stretch by
I-
like eating
I guess
that
that's
together.
But
fair.
supposedly that's like, you know how you do like grilled cheese and tomato soup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do peanut butter sandwich and chili.
I mean, I don't know about peanut butter sandwich. Maybe like
That's-
buttered bread
Nope.
and chili.
That's
Yeah,
the
no,
thing.
peanut butter apparently.
Like
Peanut
Nathan's
butter.
like, this is my shit right here. Like, he loves it.
apparently it's supposed to be like an obnoxious amount of peanut butter. Like, and again, like
Apparently.
it just gets you full because that's
I mean,
all
it's-
it does.
It's peanut butter's good, I guess. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Good
apparently
for
that's how you
too.
eat chili. I didn't know that. I'll
Maybe he's just a little fucky wucky in the head.
No.
Maybe
Steve tried it. He's like, it was all right.
Maybe he's just inhaled too much brake clean in the
Brake
past
clean.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Eh,
But
yeah.
no. So we basically just sat on the couch, watched National Treasure 1 and then National Treasure 2.
Didn't we do
Mostly
that
we-
last year? It was
Did
on
we?
TV. It was on TV last
We
year. I remember
maybe-
it was a Nicolas Cage movie.
We actually might have.
Maybe.
Holy fuck. That's a weird.
Maybe they play it every New Year's. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, that must
Well,
be
we
every
couldn't
year.
change the remote because like one of the wires in the back were fucked up. So we literally just turned on the TV. Whatever popped up.
just so that's what we were
It just so
watching.
happened we were like a quarter of the way through the first one. We watched the whole thing, watched the whole second one, and then we were like, "Hey, there's 20 minutes before the ball drops. Perfect."
Yeah.
Like literally, it worked out great.
It literally, like,
You're
Michael's,
my national treasure.
Michael's asleep on the couch about 11. I'm
Yeah.
like,
He was passed
I'm
the
like,
fuck
wow.
He
out.
was
video.
fucking out.
I'm
yeah.
like, we're gonna let him sleep. He's earned it today. He's fucking whooped. I'm like, and I don't blame him. I would do the
Yeah.
same thing.
We all just barely made it to the ball drop.
I woke him up with like 5 minutes left.
Well,
I'm
I
like,
mean,
here it is.
Do you
Let's go
guys
to
fucking
bed.
remember me last year as sitting by the door and
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Michael, and then like
He was out.
like
out,
literally
though.
like the like it was within like I thought we were gonna have like another like one more drink and then we'll go to bed. I was up finishing my drink and Steve was up till like 1:30 a.m. He said because he had his second win. Like he's like, I know if I'm up this
past
late,
10:30, he's good.
he's
to
gonna
go.
have a second win and he'll be good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I stayed up, finished my drink. He was on the phone with somebody, and I just went to bed.
It was like-
I went to bed 10 minutes after everybody else did. I'm like, huh, all right.
It was like 12:05, and everyone's like, "Yeah, we're done. It's over." Like,
Yeah.
I went to bed.
I
Michael
go
went to
sweepy
bed.
now.
Yeah. It was like, no, we're done. Today's been rough.
yeah.
So then day 2, I was probably one of the last to wake up, other than Kyle, who rolled in at like 5 in the
Yes.
morning or whatever.
Yep.
Jesus.
Well, he celebrates with his family in Chicago, drives all the way down, loses an hour after he crosses the border. So his 2.5 hour drive turns into 3.5 hours.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
to mention any stops he takes, any sort of
Turns
you know,
it easily
anything.
4 to 5
He doesn't leave
hours.
exactly at midnight. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's 4.5 like total hours of him
Yeah.
traveling.
So it's the better part of
technically.
5 a.m. He rolls in and sleeps on the couch, which
Yeah.
that's what we did last year too, and it works.
I
but-
threw a blanket out and a pillow. I'm like, here you go.
Yeah.
And- which yeah, he said that the next morning. He's like, I don't know why the fuck you texted me at 11:10 and was like, hey, good night. I got your stuff ready. See you tomorrow. Happy New Year. I'm
we're-
like, because I was going to bed.
Yeah, because Marcus, you texted me at 1 o'clock
Yeah.
or midnight,
Yeah.
which was our one. I would have been asleep for an hour already. Like,
Yeah, you
we
literally.
we were done.
Literally.
I'll tell you what, I was pretty shit faced.
Yeah, what do you guys do for New Year's?
Yeah,
So-
let's,
while we're in
let's,
the
yeah,
middle
let's
of
take
it.
a little intermission. Yeah.
So we went to Joanne.
Didn't ask. Okay.
So we went to
the number one
Joanne's.
fan's house. Hell
Yes.
yeah.
Number 2 fan. My parents are catching up.
Oh.
They watch it
There's competition.
every Tuesday morning with their coffee.
Oh my God! What a shitty way to
That
spend
is
your
so
morning.
fucking cute.
No, it's not.
It's adorable, but what a
It's
shitty
adorable,
way.
but like we all know, the content is just not there. But
No,
anyway,
God,
appreciate
no.
you guys.
I love that.
Have you watched a morning news show? This is better than that.
You're not wrong. This is going to be a good episode. I'll give him that.
It's something.
So we went over there, played some games. I was out in the garage, which if you actually want to pull it up, because
Oh, yeah,
I'll
you did
quickly,
have one picture
Oh, yeah.
this week.
I'll quickly go on my little tangent. So I was out in the garage. I got
Chicken stuff.
I got a 70-gallon, which apparently is the biggest tote that I could find in a store in stock.
These are Royal King.
No, these were at
Royal King has these
Home
same
Depot.
containers.
Well, I'll say Walmart. I know
Same,
Walmart
same.
has like the super. Like they specifically know there's
Yeah,
one.
they're
bigger
the
than
Christmas
this, but
tree storage
Damn
ones.
near, yeah.
So I went to
Well, yeah,
Home
all those are sold out
Depot.
because Christmas is
Yep,
now
over.
Yeah. Yep.
I went to Home Depot because I had a gift card there from Christmas. So I was like,
Nice.
oh, fucking use that because it was $50. So I was like, oh, fuck it. And then I went to Menards. Menards didn't have shit. So I was like, okay, I'll go back to Home Depot, get this. Because my whole plan, this is going to be my brooder box, which
Yeah.
I have some couple small adjustments to do, but I was cutting the top out to fit the frame and put the chicken wire in and everything because we're going to be putting it in Joanna Jason's garage
for the rest of the winter.
That's probably a good idea,
for 6, 7, 8 weeks until they're ready to go.
Until they're
Basically,
hardy enough to be
Till they're
outside.
friend sized.
yeah. Basically, it's when you get your chicks day one, they can't regulate their own body temperature because their feathers haven't fully formed.
Yeah.
So
Just like
6
me
to 8
for
weeks
reals.
later, they can regulate temperature. And I'm getting them in April. So
Oh, so it'll be
should-
okay outside.
Yeah, it should
Yeah,
be
yeah.
red. Well, depending on how this winter goes, but yeah, it
If
should be
this winter
okay.
goes.
Yeah.
So I was working on this, and everybody was showing up, and then we ate.
People,
we
people do
came
that.
inside, ate. I
Does
went
this
back
include
out real
Nick? I
quick.
don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nick and
Yeah.
Caitlin were there.
You said you were just talking. I'm like, I don't know.
in the
Yeah.
ether.
I wasn't there.
So I went back out and finished
I
this,
was
and
passed
then
out
we
at 11 o'clock Illinois
played.
time.
Yeah,
We
were
played
done.
Uno.
Dose.
What else did we fucking play?
Jackbox.
Cards?
Jackbox. We did Cards Against Humanity. I think we did another board game, didn't we?
No.
No,
All the
just those
games.
two.
All the games must have been bored because we weren't there.
Jesus
I
Christ.
Hate it here. I'm sorry.
I mean, that speech Jackbox game. That's
Oh.
always good with you. And
I'm cooking.
yeah, no, you're fucking.
I would be
cooking.
bad this year. I sound like ass. True. By the end of the night, my voice, I'm like,
So,
I was trying to tell someone where to go.
Inside myself, and all I found.
Yeah, literally, like on Sunday, I was trying to tell someone where to turn, and I was like, and he's like, "What?" I'm like, "The creek." He's like,
Where's my new
"That way?" I'm like,
ports?
"Yes." They're like,
What are they
okay,
selling?
because he didn't have a radio, so he's like, "Where'd they go?" I'm like, "Follow the creek." He's just
see
like,
this?
"What the fuck are you saying?"
This was the other reason why I was sad I didn't go because I'm like, oh, Radio Man's not coming.
Oh, speaking of radios, do you have my antenna for my radio?
I think so.
I only have my magnet base.
Speaking of that, where the fuck are all my
Brian.
spare goddamn batteries? I only have one of them.
I
Hey,
have one
Brian,
battery.
I had a short antenna I could have given you in my Jeep.
You
'Cause
saw how
I-
mine worked.
Yeah, I was like, okay, he wants the full antenna.
I had the
I don't
mag
know,
base
dude.
stuck to the floor of the truck.
I didn't question. I'm like, I don't care, whatever. Like,
It
I
worked.
never asked anything about it, but I literally, like, Brendan gave me a stubby antenna.
That probably
I
would've
could've-
worked,
I-
but-
it's for a Bofang. Like,
Yeah.
it would have worked because I used that for Customer Appreciation Day because I didn't have an antenna because I left my big one with you
Yeah.
after the
You-
trip and I forgot all of my antennas. I only
See,
packed that.
I had contemplated putting the box back together,
Putting the band back together.
and then like, here's the box. Everything's
Well,
labeled.
there was
just
more-
put it back in here.
There was more radios than there were rigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did work out really well because everybody from the past year had all the channels that we were on. It was perfect.
Yes,
like we
program
all
still
used.
worked.
Nice.
Yeah, it worked perfect.
I brought my little
honestly.
laminated card just in case. Turns out that it doesn't have the frequencies on it. It just says which channel they are.
Oh yeah.
So that was completely
Oh,
useless.
like-
yeah,
so, like,
'cause
yeah,
I brought it anyway, though.
I don't go by frequency. I go by.
Well, Kyle May
frequency
needed
mode.
one of them. He Googled it. It wasn't a big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
he was like,
Just-
I can't. He didn't. He couldn't figure out which preset he was or how to find it. He's like,
Gotcha.
I'll just type it in.
But yeah,
Which
I just-
we didn't know.
Just
about. It was
use
not a
the
big
rugged
deal.
radio presets. Well,
Yeah, we did.
What was that Google Doc I made for the off-road group a while
it's there
back?
somewhere, but
I'm not sure.
we weren't
I
too
still have
concerned.
it,
Everybody
but-
already had the channels
Yeah.
for the first day and the second day. Most of us had it. So
Nice.
yeah, I just
Radio
had my,
Man still pulling in.
I had my
clutch.
mag base just stuck to the transmission
Right.
cover.
They
in
did
the
ask
truck.
about you guys. I was like,
Aw.
well, I was gonna say, I was like, I'm pretty sure Marcus is going to Wisconsin with his girlfriend. Did that
That's
happen
this
or-
weekend.
Oh,
Just
okay.
making for you, ain't it? Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, they just kind of had their own things and didn't want to come.
And Nick
so.
hates us.
Marcus was
Yeah.
busy and
Well,
also broke and
if-
contemplating.
I'll understand.
I was gonna say,
Life.
yeah, if money is better this year, I would like to go again.
Oh,
Because
yeah. Well,
I had a lot of fun last
There's a
year.
lot of year between now and then.
Yeah, I need to talk to Steve. I might suggest changing it up from Badlands and maybe trying a different place because
and
it's
we probably won't.
it's
but
well, it's
the same
kind of
fucking
dying.
thing.
Well, maybe
There's a competitor New Year's run as well in Michigan, so there's that option as well. There's not a cabin up there as far as I know,
Right.
but we can maybe figure something out.
we could
Well,
make
there's
something
Probably
happen. But
Airbnbs.
Maybe.
yeah, but not.
Yeah, but
They're
that's gonna be
small
that's-
Michigan towns.
That's
It'd be
gonna
like
be
an
fucking
Airbnb in fucking
expensive.
Granville.
They're
Oh,
probably
like this is. Oh, it's a smaller town.
Yeah, it's not big.
most of them are.
It's not even as big as Attica.
You just
honestly.
get
But
a
anyway,
Attica's
hotel.
not big.
Anyway,
Any
so like I
who's
said,
would
there's
be.
kind of that going on. There was a massive decrease of this year too. The Speakmans stayed at home with their kids because they're kind of getting old enough to where they kind of know that
Yeah.
it's a holiday. I'm like, I get it, totally understand. So,
But yeah, it was a
But yeah.
relatively small turnout the first day. It was literally just 4 rigs, and one of them was on fire, apparently. You know.
Yeah.
And then day 2, like I got up at 9:30. We had to be out by 10.
Supposedly.
So I'm like
ended up not happening. But
waking up, like I'm gonna go outside and cough up some garbage for a little bit.
He literally
Like,
sat on the porch for like 10 minutes. I'm like, I didn't know what you were doing. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't really.
I
need
just
to
like
ask.
took my
Smoking
Dayquil,
doobies.
crack open my Mountain Dew, and went outside and just like gurgle like neon yellow chunks of phlegm just for
Same as your coolant.
like 20
Damn it.
minutes.
Fucking
Yeah.
And then
short sounding ass.
Mike showed up.
Yeah, you guys bullshit for a while.
He's like, "Oh, hey, what are you
porch.
doing?" I'm like, "I'm just out here coughing
I'm
stuff up." He's
dying.
like, "Okay."
Lovely.
He's like, "How's the truck going?" I'm like, "Terrible." He's
Shit.
like,
yeah.
"Okay." Like Mike's
Yep.
just got that energy. He's like, "Okay, sure, yeah,
Yeah.
all right, cool."
Yeah, he's
Sure,
just
buddy.
a talker. Literally, you guys talked out there for like probably at least 15, 20 minutes.
As I'm out there, it's like, you know, it's pretty good. You know,
Yeah.
he's just like,
Having his morning
left my
Newport.
key, broke a brake line,
Yeah.
fucking sparks.
he's
and
just like,
things and such.
"Wow, that sounds awful." I'm like, "Yeah,
It was.
yeah, it was." He's like, "Okay, cool." I'm like, "Well, there's biscuits and gravy," and there's like, "God damn it, I ate on the way."
yeah, he literally said that. Yeah, so everybody inside enjoyed some. Did you get biscuits and gravy?
I did not. I was
Oh,
not.
well,
Well, I couldn't breathe,
Yeah,
eat, or do
understandable.
anything. So I'm just like,
Understandable.
I don't eat breakfast anyway. So,
Yeah,
I'm like,
so
I'm gonna
yeah.
air out.
Ate some biscuits and gravy.
gonna
packed
air my
up.
lungs out.
The Wheelers kind of did their like last round of cleaning. I made sure all my shit was like ready to be thrown out and like at least on the porch.
Yeah, at least outside.
Yeah, clean
I
up.
ran up to the cabin. I'm like, hey, we don't have any outlets to use for our crock pots. We want to eat
Eat
lunch.
lunch before we leave.
Is there any way we can just leave the crock pots in the cabin? Everything else is clean. Everything else is out. We just want to keep the food warm. We'll jump back in there, eat lunch, and then leave. And they're like, oh, yeah, absolutely no problem. There's nobody renting it today. You have the rest of the day to be there. I'm like, perfect.
Sick.
You
I'm like-
must be out by 10. They're like, actually, we don't
Again,
care.
that's what I'm saying. Like with the times and stuff. Like
Yeah.
anyway, it's
They
not a big
literally
deal.
don't care.
This
Well,
is granted. New
They
Year's is
they probably
probably
have to put that on.
They
Well,
probably put it
New
there
Year's
in
is
case
probably the
there's an
biggest
issue.
holiday that there
Yeah.
actually isn't an influx of people trying to
Well,
rent the cabins.
and-
Every other holiday throughout the year,
Oh, yeah.
there are people trying to be there.
And
Yeah.
those deadlines are probably for the out of town people who don't know them
Exactly.
and
Yes.
who come once.
yeah, when I walk in there, I'm like, hey, I would really like to do this. They're like, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
that's a human interaction
Yeah.
where they're as opposed to like other people. They
Yeah.
do give you a 12 o'clock checkout for another $100 and a
Early check-in.
noon check-in for another $100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I paid $500, I think, for the one night with 7 people, or I could have paid $700 for like, you know,
the same
2
amount
extra
with,
hours.
6 extra,
Right.
yeah, 4
With
extra
the-
hours total. I'm like,
with the
no
extra
thanks.
time that we got for free just by asking politely.
Yeah, it's like, no, thank you. I'm
Yeah.
poor. Like, I
you're
don't
like,
need to be
I-
spending more money.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, if we have to be
Yeah.
out, that's fine. They're like, no, we don't care. You're like, sweet.
Yeah, love that. Thanks. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we unload Kyle's Jeep.
Yep.
Mike's just riding with Steve. He didn't bring his truck
Yep.
because it was his leaf spring is still bent, and there's a couple other little things. He's just
He
like,
needs a steering gearbox. He's debating
yeah.
on. Yeah.
He's just like, I'll worry about it later. I don't want to try to fix it overnight and then do that. It's like, yeah, it's probably fair.
That's his problem for next
yeah.
year.
No, Jeremy Wilson showed up with his friend Dave Allen, which is
Yes.
also Josh Anderson's friend.
Yeah.
They're kind of mutuals in the Indiana area.
Kyle Carpenter was there.
With his XJ. Dave's rig, it's a yellow YJ buggy, so like
Oh, cool.
late 80s buggy. Still stock powertrain, 4-liter straight 6.
Wow.
It is 1 tons and the 43-inch Baja Pro XSs, which is
I thought they said they were sticky. Or no, that was the
they are
other-
stickies.
Yeah. So
They
just
are
Pro
stickies
X.
as well as the other JK is also one as well.
I'm just seeing if there's a picture of it
Search
floating
his
around.
name in the chat. Surely somebody would have tagged him.
Where can I search? And there it is.
Right to the right. Yeah.
What's the name?
Dave Allen?
Dave.
I mean, it is the cleanest.
Why is it not? God damn it. Why is it being weird?
Look at the other pictures. Just scroll up to the next one. Scroll up a little bit.
Up?
Click the +3. Maybe Dave's is through this. Well, that's other Dave.
No.
Okay.
I like those
Oh,
balls.
Whoa, go back. That
Yeah,
thing's
that's
tits.
awesome.
That was just a
Hell
random
yeah.
one. I remember this
Still.
being talked about. It was
This
just a
was
random
this was actually a
one.
challenge that I won because I'm really good at stuff.
True,
You had to
yes.
identify. It's an audio show only. You had to
Yeah.
identify all 7 rigs and who owned them
by
Oh.
only descriptions that the host gave, which
by the hosts
was not.
that were everybody's
not good.
wives, not
Yeah.
the actual hosts.
Yeah, so
Oh
they're
my
like, "Oh,
God.
it's a white and it's cool.
It's white
and
with a
neat."
rooftop tent, and everyone's like, "Uh-huh."
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
actually
if you want
won
to just
that
search
challenge.
regular Facebook for Dave Allen, you can
Yeah,
find his
I'll
rig because
work
I
on
believe it's like his profile picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically the cleanest, probably the cleanest rig out
Dave
of all
Allen
of them.
from Indiana, this guy.
Yes. There you go.
that's good enough.
Yeah.
That'll give you a pretty good sense of
The most aggressive tires in the world. The
fucking
entirely
Lord.
cleanest rig I've ever seen.
It's so
Holy
pretty.
shit.
It's all fresh build. He's only been wheeling it for like 6 or 8 months.
Yeah, full hydraulic steering.
Wow.
So you can see the difference. Like, there's a
Yeah.
ram here, and that's it. There's no linkage connecting it. It
Yeah.
just pushes.
He's also
the
on
tires.
coilovers, which makes it even less of things to be
Yes.
happening there.
You can see how little stuff is in the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Holy
It is, I'm telling you,
shit.
this rig
It's just
is
free.
This
it
thing's-
is beautiful.
This thing's
through and
nasty.
through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think he said it. I forgot how long. It was either 4 or 6 years. I think it took for him to put it all together. Like he just took his time, didn't know what he was
Yep.
doing, did it
Yeah.
all himself. Like just made it really
The proper
slow,
way.
attention to detail. Now that it's done, he's meeting all these people. He's like, well, I'm glad I did all this now because now he's able to go out every single weekend.
Yeah.
which
It's
is
so
good.
finely tuned that he can just go use it, and it just
He
works.
is learning how to drive it rather than learning how to drive and wishing he had more.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah,
That's,
which-
I was talking with somebody about that. He's like, "Yeah, no, like he's just now
like
learning.
he has an
the full
S tier
capabilities.
He has an S tier vehicle and
With like
he's
a
an
B tier
A tier
driver,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which, as crazy as it sounds, that's kind of where I'm at too. The truck
Yeah.
is so capable that I'm like,
Minus all your
Okay.
fuck ups.
Besides not having a roll cage.
other than all of day one
Well,
being
yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like everything. I'm like,
Day 2
okay.
for you went pretty fucking good though.
Day
I
2,
will
Yeah.
admit.
Tell us all
Go through
about
the
it.
rest of everybody else that was there. I'll pull. 'em up as
Yeah,
we
so
go.
it'd be Jeremy Wilson, 8 Lug Production, Dave
Yes.
Allen, another guy named Dave. I forget his name. He added me on Facebook.
Is it
Dave 2.
was Cody Temple there? Is that the name I'm thinking of?
Cody was another guy. That was Dave with a Toyota on 42's his friend. Was another guy. Yes. What else was there? Yeah, Kyle Carpenter was
That's
there.
not Jeremy. That's the other Jeremy.
I believe that was.
That's not the same Jeremy. Why is it not? Did I spell his name wrong?
No.
I don't know. Either way, I'll work.
I don't know
I'll
why I
work
can't
on
find
this.
him. That's weird. Anyway.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, I want to say it was. Yeah, there was the guy named. What did you say his name was?
Cody Temple.
Cody Temple. He has a red JK on sticky somethings. Then
Here is Jeremy
Nice.
Wilson.
yeah, Jeremy Wilson's white
JK
1-ton
on
swap
tons.
JK.
Hot damn.
Soon to be LS swapped. I know.
Yes.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty neat.
Coilovers, all that jazz.
Yeah, he was when we got there, or we were out going. You guys had gotten ahead of us. Me and Steve were on our way down. As we pulled down, they were over on the south wall by the pond. I don't know why I call it south. I don't think it's actually south. I think it's actually like
I don't genuinely
West
know.
or
I think
something.
everybody just kind of says
I call
that,
it
though.
south because it's not in the top. I don't know, but
Yeah, I think everybody says that though.
As we drop down the lead into the quarry, I look over and someone's like waving, and I'm like, who the fuck? I'm like, maybe they're over there.
I was wondering where you guys went because yeah, me and Mang went all the way around like the outside trail,
Yes.
and then we bullshitted for like 10 minutes, and then you came over. I'm like, oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, so we had pulled down. I saw someone wave, and Michael's like, "Oh, there's Andy's Jeep over there." And I'm like, "That's
Other-
not
yeah.
Andy's." I'm like, "That's Kyle's Jeep."
Yeah, Kyle also has a like
silver Jeep on
34s
35s or whatever.
and silver 4-door Jeep. I'm like, oh yeah, fair enough.
I think it's. I don't know if it's EL or LE.
Yeah, I'm not sure honestly.
I have no idea how to spell.
Cody did not add me. The other guy named Dave did add me though. He was pretty cool. Dave's rig was a late 90s 4Runner on 42s, leaf springs.
Forerunner.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I want one so fucking bad.
Yeah, so there was the 4Runner.
You don't remember his name?
4Runner's name was Dave.
Well, there's a lot of Daves.
Cody had the JK, which was
Yeah.
also tons LS swapped.
Everybody had
stickies.
capable shit.
Yeah,
It was like everybody was there to party.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Mang, Wheelers,
Yes.
you.
Yourself.
Everyone's seen Mang's
Myself.
Jeep. It is this guy right here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thing's
I drove
so
a
I think
little
that
bit.
was
fucking
it.
clean.
Yeah, I want to say there was just those other 4. Kyle Carpenter broke fairly early.
He broke
like,
a front left U joint, I think, or did he break an axle?
U-joint axle shaft.
Something in there.
Also, I believe it just sheared it off. Yeah.
He was being rowdy on it, so it's
Yeah.
justified.
I also then went up and tried to hit the obstacle he broke on. I tried it probably 20 times, did not make it.
Did you break anything?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
But
congratulations.
so it's basically it was a
But-
rock face with just clay on the bottom. It was all
Oh.
wet. So like you need a ton of wheel speed and momentum and just
hop
hope
up.
and prayer. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a double edge. Yeah. As you can tell, it's pretty similar to my Jeep.
Here's
Wow,
Kyle's
yeah.
Jeep. You could see from a distance, you're like, yep, it's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
But anyway.
Because we pulled around, I'm like, nope, that's got no cage on it. He's like, I'll be damned.
Yeah. So yeah, that
That's Kyle Carpenter's
Yeah,
Jeep.
he broke his U-joint. I tried the same. I'm like, I have chromolyes. I'll try
I'll fucking
harder.
bounce this
I don't
thing.
know.
Yeah.
I tried it literally 20 times. Got super like. It's also it's all clay. Like the second, if you're not pointing directly straight where you need to go,
It's gonna
like
suck
it's
you
gonna
over.
suck you left or right. So like
Yeah.
I'm going from drive to reverse fast because if
Constantly.
I'm not in reverse going backwards, I'll continue to go forwards, aka left or right, and then roll my
The
shit.
tires will start running to
like
the side.
I'm trying bouncer shit in a XJ on 35. So
Yeah,
it's
on
not
clay.
good.
It was
on
a
clay.
It
and
was a
mud
nasty
fits.
hill to start with.
I really gave it my all, and I got close. It was just like I was able to do it customer appreciation day
When it was dry.
when it was
Yes.
dry and when way less people hit it.
Yeah, that was like the
So-
driest the park had ever been for that day.
spot still has water in front of it, so it was still a momentum game.
I think there's water
but
on
it
top
was
of the hill.
but it
always.
was easier then because the rest of it was dry and not as many people had gotten up it. So I was still like
so it wasn't rutted.
on the like upper third of it. I was able to catch dirt still. Now it's rock for 90% of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like your clay filled wet tires just
They're-
spin
you're
all the
trying
way
to
up.
clean them
there.
out on the way up.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not
There's, like-
not easy at all.
There's a
anymore.
perfect stair step right when you're like getting traction. It bounces you off, so you lose that momentum every time. You have to like
Yeah.
lean up on it, get over that stair step, and then
And
lay
I
into it.
Hammer in.
got over that step probably 3 times out of my 20 tries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But every time I didn't at that point I didn't
You
have
didn't
enough
have enough
momentum. I'm like,
ass in ya.
I need to hit it perfectly to where it bounces at the same time, carries me up. My wheels are spinning straight, and I also have enough momentum to carry myself.
It's
up.
literally a bouncer line where you have to hit it hard enough you jump the stair step, not go up it and down it. To
Yeah.
use the momentum over it, not through it. It's so weird.
Yeah,
Can't
that was
go
one of my
over it.
obstacles, but
Yeah. But either way, we caught up with all those guys.
I'll say talk a minute. I got
A lot of them had super capable rigs. So
Nice.
basically, we kind of just played around a little bit, did some obstacles. Everything I was parking the truck on, it would just do.
Good.
And I'm like, wow. I'm like, Michael's like, are we going to do some hard stuff? I'm like, this is the hard
Yeah.
stuff. Like, a lot of this is kind of tricky, weird stuff. So we played around for a little bit, did some weird hills, some climbs. Everything kind of just worked. The steering's still working good. No problems yet this morning. Very cool. So,
Got her she stopped throwing a shit fit.
yes. So we played on some stuff. Everybody else started heading to V-Notch. We followed them over. There we sat and watched most people hit it
Yeah.
because everybody's on.
Did you try?
I did not. I debated on it. So basically,
Think
I would have been
you need a cage to hit that.
I'll do it next time. It really isn't that bad. So the guy we were talking about with the Toyota 4Runner on 42s, he was one of the last guys to hit it. Everybody else pretty much idled up it with sticky tires or 42s or whatever. He's on 42-inch IROCs, which aren't crazy aggressive. And I think it's a manual. I'm pretty sure it is.
Wow.
So you can hear him like
Yeah.
trying to get up stuff.
Yeah.
Is the 4Runner a manual? I think it is, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's like kind of leaning on it up and down, trying to get it to grab and go without like running out of power and stalling back on V-Notch.
Yes.
So he spent a good amount of time trying to get it, trying to carry enough momentum that the manual will pull.
Yeah.
But not so much that you're just bouncing on it
Yeah.
and doing nothing.
Well, then he gets the perfect line and the perfect run, and then the transmission pops out of gear. Like he didn't have the stick fully in, and it like he literally was all like 3/4 of the way up, right where you are on mostly
The
flats.
perfect line, perfect tire placement.
Yeah.
It starts going.
Yeah,
And then it's like,
and that's when
"Bing."
it pops out of gear. He slides back 6 inches underneath a ledge. Now he's like, now I'm like, cool. You have to do exactly that again. 'Cause
Yeah.
that was the line.
falls right off of his line. He's just like,
I'm
God
like,
damn it."
oh man,
fucking bitch.
Yeah.
and that's why automatics are easier to wheel. But
They are
anyway,
a lot. Like manuals are great.
I'll say I wouldn't mind them like one manual rig, and I might, if I do build a second rig, I might turn the XJ into a manual just so I have that experience.
Something different. But
Yeah.
That'd be neat. Yeah.
it just I don't see as much
I don't
benefit
want
for the
that.
way we wheel.
Yeah, I don't want
Yeah.
that as my main wheeler.
Like out east, big rock wheeling where you're climbing a 100-foot grade. It's
Sure.
probably amazing because you just put it in first, double low, and just
Yep.
idle up something.
Exactly.
Instead of binding a converter.
But
the whole
out
way
here
up.
where momentum and my skinny pedal specifically,
and where it's a lot of like bounce up, slam and reverse. Like
Yeah.
a lot of that quick. It is nice because you can get up on something and just tap the clutch to kill all that
Yeah.
momentum. There's no
But
like
still,
waiting for the
for
converter.
the way
Yeah.
Well,
for what we're doing
I'll
around
say
here.
we wheel.
Yeah.
I don't see.
Yeah, I'll
for,
stick with
for
automatic.
Illinois and Indiana being relatively flat.
Right. There's
Yeah,
ledges, not
yeah.
hills.
Yeah,
So
I don't see the main benefit to that.
we went over to V-Notch. The guy in the Toyota was, I think, the last one to do it. And
This
he,
was after we talked about. Did you talk about the back wall?
not specifically why.
Well, because I made it up for my first time ever.
That's after. We're starting the loop right now to go to V-Notch. We go V-Notch.
The back wall was last.
Yes.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. My
Or
bad, my
actually,
bad.
this was just before that. So on the south wall of the quarry, there's like that nasty rock garden on the left side to go up it.
Is that where what's his name almost?
Everybody's
shits last
straight
year?
sideways.
Dustin and Steve and Josh. Yeah,
Everybody's
it is
nasty
the
crooked in
biggest
there.
boulders, the biggest garden, and everyone always gets crossed up in.
Yeah.
It. Yes.
Steve gets about halfway through it and then runs out of gas.
No fucking
It just
shit.
turns off. He's just like, fuck. He didn't run out of gas. It just sloshed all the way from the
Yeah.
pump, so it just turned off. So they had to get winched backwards out of that.
Christ.
So he knows he's crazy low, so he's just kind of paying attention to it. Well, so we go to V-Notch. The Forerunner makes it eventually. You know, it's not crazy hard, but just have to get it just right and get up it. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, if he's struggling on 42s, I'll just skip it for today.
Yeah.
So we go, next obstacle is the ledge by the pond, the one that Andy was just bouncing off of earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the next day, a little bit drier.
Just a hair dryer.
Mang bounced off of it for 30 minutes straight.
He was getting rowdy with
He
it.
was
He was really
banging.
trying. But it was mostly because Steve was pushing him.
Because that's one of those obstacles. Once you get it, it opens up a new possibility.
Yeah, you're like, oh my god, like I said, that's where that 30%, like it goes from easy to intermediate. Like if Mang would have been able to do that, he would have realized that is the hump, like that specific type of obstacle or like that difficulty of it.
Like that's a new limit.
And that's what Steve was really trying to push him past. Like Mang's Jeep is, if his rear end was working properly, it's a limited slip, and everybody who knows what that limited slip is capable of thinks it's not quite right with Mang. I don't know whether it's fluid or torque or torque specs or something.
Yeah.
For whatever
it's not
reason.
quite working as good as it should, and it's limiting him because if he was locked, he would have probably been able to make it.
Right. So he spent
As
a bunch
well
of
as
time
his
on it.
gas tank skid hangs a little low, so it's
Yeah.
holding him up. And
Plus his spare tire
his
carrier's
huge
off the back.
rear bumper spare tire carrier is also a huge.
It throws a bunch of weight
overhangs it too
backwards
far.
now and overhangs. Like if you stripped that thing bare, it would probably bounce up that a little
Oh
bit
yeah,
easier.
you strip
Yeah.
that
But
thing
it's
bare.
not. That's not what that rig is.
No.
It's not a cut down, beat up raisin.
No.
It's a really nice daily driver quality Jeep.
So he daily drives it, doesn't he?
He can.
No, he can't. He used to, yeah. As of 2 years ago, he did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he spent some good time on
Fucker's
it.
clean.
You
It
spent
is,
a good amount of
yes.
time on it. You did eventually get it though, didn't you?
Yes. Or no. Mang. I only hit it like 2 times, and I got it up.
Yeah, you get
2
you
or
got
3,
up
yeah.
it though. Yes.
Yes.
He didn't.
Yeah.
So that was that same ledge.
Yeah,
you
I watched
showed
him struggle
earlier.
and get so close. I'm like, well, maybe today since it's a little bit drier, and I also stacked a big rock on the bottom half of it. I'm like, maybe now I can get it. And I want to say I did it 2 times.
Just enough
No
to
rain
get
as
your.
it's raining.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, I want to say it was 2 times, like right where the middle of the video is where the
Yeah.
line is the normal line, not where I'm at over on the side.
trying to get a
You
good-
can see where everything's been cleared from tires.
So we're gonna get a
spinning.
good picture of this hill real quick in this
Yeah.
video of you doing it. None of these pictures look quite.
Yeah, you
right.
probably can't see it from this angle of it.
Yeah, he needs to walk closer to the ledge, but
But you can see where all the
regardless.
tires have cleared all the leaves and such.
Yep.
And I'm not on that in this video, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's where that
So,
line
like,
was.
on this edge right here is kind of where everyone does it. Andy's too far to the left for the ledge, whatever.
Yeah.
But
This was the day before, not what
Yeah.
we're talking about now. But
yeah, so like day one, you spent this is like a 3-minute video of you bouncing off it trying to get it. Day 2, you do eventually get up it.
yeah,
after
I did
a while.
3 tries in the middle. It was a little bit drier, and I also stacked a rock on the bottom half.
It was
and
more than 3
perfect.
tries. It was quite a few. You probably spent a good 5 minutes on it.
Well, as opposed to 30 that I
Yeah,
tried
it
with
wasn't.
this, but yeah.
It was less, but so you're
Yeah.
sitting there working
way
at it,
less
whatever.
than Mang did. I watched Mang hit it so many times. I'm like, I could probably do that in a couple.
Yeah,
And it took me less than a handful, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is it.
and the same thing. Like Forerunner, he was in front of me, so he does it. Gives him a little bit of trouble. You know, he's kind of spinning, bouncing, whatever. And I pull up to it and just like idle, just up.
Do you have the
over it.
video I sent you?
That's not this same ledge.
Yeah, but
I'm
I'm
gonna pull that up.
That's
as a
another
comparison now.
example of like wow, it really just is nose heavy and
really
idles
do be
up
like
most
that sometimes.
things.
So
Huh.
this is a different ledge, but it looks
Yeah.
it's the same
This
kind of
ledge-
size shape.
This ledge I did for the first time.
Is this in the quarry? Or no, this is a
on-
back.
This is the quarry. So here's the south wall down here on the bottom.
The big rock garden is
Yeah,
right behind
so-
the red YJ.
is right over
Oh,
here.
okay.
He just probably
I
came
know where
through
you're
it.
at.
This is a straight up ledge. It's doable with most things. You need a front locker. I was not able to do it until I got a locker. I was able to do it in the dry on Customer Appreciation Day
So-
3 months ago
Yeah.
for the first time. This was only the second time I had been up it. I struggled with it because it was wet today. I struggled with it probably 4 times maybe, and then I made it up.
Yeah, I mean you could see the ground. It's
And then
digging
you watch,
in a little
and then
bit.
just watch Brian. real
like
But like, so here's quarry. This is the entrance. So
Mm-hmm.
you guys were up over here.
the entrance to the quarry would be like over here on the left side of the screen.
Yeah,
So here's
yeah.
this south
the
wall
pond
curves
is
here.
the pond is straight ahead of his flag.
The pond is probably like right about
Yes.
here.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so when you come down the entrance, if you just go perfectly straight,
Yeah.
it makes you a little,
You're in
little
that
bit left.
lower wall.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is not
gotcha.
the lower wall. This is just off of that.
This
but
is
yes.
Yeah.
So you
okay.
go up the lower wall, take a hard left, you're here.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll just compare it to like other ledges. Like you saw Andy spinning on that first one.
It was like I said. It was probably 5% less humid today and a little bit drier. Like
Yeah.
not bad at all.
I mean, it's still a little mucky up
That's
top.
me
but-
over there. I'm videoing. I'm like, huh? Look at this.
Like
I'm not even like it was. It's so nose heavy. I'm like,
Doesn't give a single fuck.
like it looks so effortless.
Wow, look, he gave it about what 5% throttle right there.
Yeah. Like it's a big nasty V8. I'm just like idling around the park. I'm like, oh, like I don't have to lean on it hard because it just does it. Like all that
Christ.
front weight. Like Andy pulls up on it, kind of spinning, bounces it a couple times.
yeah.
I'm just
I
like-
probably did it 4 or 5 times. I'm like, and then once I had the line in a good bump, I'm like, oh yeah, that's all I needed. Like
Yeah.
it was not hard.
Meanwhile, I just like looked at it. I'm like, okay, and just like left it in first.
Yeah.
Idle, pop, and it's over. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
So
wow,
now-
this thing's really good.
So now we can go to where we were talking about the back wall. You basically did this exact same thing, except for the first time you hit it, you needed to do a little bump to get your back tires up a small little knuckle on basically the ground.
Yeah, the back wall. So last year, you would have seen Dave go straight up it. It's the back wall is like the main back wall of the quarry.
What?
Blue Toyota,
No.
or not Dave,
Yeah.
Dustin.
Yeah, Dustin.
Oh,
was
the
in
cage Toyota.
Yeah.
Yes,
blue cage.
blue,
Oh,
and,
okay.
blue and gray
Yeah.
Toyota. Like the very back.
Is that the
back
one he
wall.
pulled his yoke out of his drive shaft?
Yes.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
okay.
Pulled
okay.
his drive shaft
I know
apart
which
on
one
the
we're
other-
talking about.
That was actually the same hill.
Yeah.
That's this hill that I just
Yeah,
did.
in the video here. Yeah,
The one
yeah,
that he
that
pulled
one,
his
yeah.
drive shaft apart.
Holy shit, that's a big fucking
I know.
hill.
It's a like
That's what I'm saying. Is like it climbed the fucking thing.
Holy
idled
shit.
it. Yeah,
Good
that-
for you.
That's that
That's
same
awesome.
exact hill. Yes.
Hot damn.
Yeah, the one he pulled his drive shaft apart trying to get up the
Yeah.
first time. He got up it pretty easily, but
Yeah.
that's the same
Had
hill.
a little bit more yoke to it this year.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't there this year, but
But yeah,
but yeah,
Oh, right.
it's like the back wall of the quarry is
a vertical
you do that
all
front
rock
step.
wall. Yeah.
it's that same style wall, but it's way steeper and
Mm-hmm.
way taller. So you can't get over to the top and then climb the bottom.
Yeah,
like
you
this.
have to climb the whole wall. Like
Yeah.
all wheelbases, both tires are very vertical.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
have to get at least your front over to help you climb it. But it's also very slick because so many people have done it.
Yes.
So like the times I've tried, if I do get my front tires up, it usually starts tipping me left or right, and then I'm in danger of flipping. Whereas this time,
Dang.
the first day,
Pick goes hard.
This isn't the same part of the wall.
but it is same scale.
It's
It
the
is still
same
10 to 12
idea.
feet tall. Like it is very tall wall.
This is a very shallow section compared to where we're going up at. Like this is relatively like you can walk this kind of
yeah.
crooked. The other wall is like it looks like this where it's vertical.
Yes.
Like it is it's this same wall just further over, but it is super aggressive to get up a bit.
Yeah, I've put tires on it maybe 3 times. All 3 times I'm like, there's no way. I put my tires on it one other time with a locker, and I still thought I'm not gonna try this.
So we're doing a quarry loop, we call it, where we go V-notch, pond ledge,
Yeah.
up this wall, and then up the back wall of the quarry. That's just the
Yeah.
loop we're running.
Yep.
So it's like everybody who's capable of it is just going up it. So
I followed. I think I was 3rd or 4th in line, and I'm like, I tried it yesterday. I'm like, maybe I'll just hit the right line today. First time I try it, I almost have it. Second line, my front tires get up, and I really almost have it. I'm like, That's the furthest I've ever gotten on this without getting so crooked that I'm in danger of flipping.
Yeah,
So I'm like, I think I'm really going to give it a couple more tries. And I gave it probably 3 or 4 more tries, and I get the perfect line. Wheels are spinning perfect. I'm still pointed straight.
And it just catches
the
just
tires
enough.
just start grabbing perfect, and I just kind of, my rear just kind of
Nice.
crawls right up. I'm like, I have been coming here in Jeeps, like this is 4 years
For
total.
years.
Have never even thought I'd be able to do this. Finally was able to do it. I'm like, that's awesome. That was like the nail in the coffin for this axle and tire setup. I'm like, that is a perfect milestone to end on.
It's extremely
with that.
capable.
Time to
just
rip
like
this fucker apart now.
Literally,
much.
the front axle is out and the rear is going to be sold tomorrow. So yeah.
Nice.
So he goes up it. I think Jeremy's after him. One of the Toyotas in
The
front of me
Toyota
still.
buggy's in front of you.
He kind of fights it for a little bit.
The Toyota 4Runner is on the same size, the same tires but bigger, and the same wheelbase as Brian.
Well, it's on 42-inch IROCs. I'm on pit bulls.
Yeah,
which
he's
actually
he's
measures
108.5-inch wheelbase.
Yeah.
Brian's 180.
So basically, I'm watching him do everything. I'm like, if he's on it good, I know that's how I'm going to look because I'm the same
Yeah.
wheelbase roughly.
he did almost the same. He had one bump, didn't make it. Second bump, made it perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian literally followed.
Basically-
Suit. I was spotting I didn't spot the 4Runner because he's more familiar with his rig than you are yours.
Yeah.
So I'm like, watched him. I'm like, there you go. That was your line. I came over to spot Brian. I'm like, I just want to see if he'll try because I wasn't sure if you. I thought you had,
'Cause
somebody thought you had done it yesterday or
Oh,
maybe
no.
put tires on it.
Nope.
And I'm like, I don't know that for sure. That's when I asked you.
Right. So I pulled up and had to turn so you pull up a small ledge to get to the big ledge. But you have to actually turn right and then left to get the right angle.
Yeah.
So I pulled off left so people thought I wasn't going up to it. And I had to back up down the hill to line up better.
Just to line up with it.
So everyone's like, oh, he's just going to go around. That's fine.
I was like, nah.
Started
That's what I was like.
reshuffling.
If you were gonna pull off, I was gonna yell and be like, no,
we're
put your
doing
tires
it.
on it. Put your
Yeah.
tires on it at the very least and see.
Yeah. So I reshuffle, get lined up, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, here it is. Let's just see what it does.
Yeah.
And first try idling, it almost has it. I'm like,
Yeah,
Shit.
his
I'm
back
like, oh,
tires
God.
were on a hump, literally probably 8 inches tall. I'm like, the second you get over that, your rear tires will be up on it. Your front tires will now be even more over the
over
top,
that ledge.
Yeah, you're starting to
knuckle.
throw your weight over.
I'm like, I think you'll have it, and
Yeah.
literally,
And I'm
that's
like,
what happened.
I'm in there. I'm like, yeah, I think so too. So I back up just a hair. I give it a very light run up. It almost has it. Come back down once more. I'm like, okay, I'll just.
Yeah,
Cover the
I told him, I'm like,
beans.
that's the line. You know where the bump is.
Yeah.
That's it.
you're
Just a little bit more.
It was
And
like-
you added 10% more throttle and made
Yeah,
it.
you're do that just a little bit harder. And I'm like, yeah, I think so. And just bounce one little hop and then right over it. I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's just so.
Which my
capable.
wheelbase is so different that I usually I'm over that hump, so my front wheels are already over. But I struggle getting the whole rest of my Jeep over, whereas yours was long enough
That
to
it
where you
just
fought the little
kinda
one,
rolled it.
and the second
Yeah.
you're over that little one, you're over the whole wall.
Yeah.
So
It is. Every time I'm doing stuff, I'm shocked how capable that rig is.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense. It just works really well. All the weight's on the front,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which going down hills is kind of sketchy, but it just bites with the tires at the fronts were at 4 psi, the backs were at 2. It just gripped everything really, really nice.
even on your springs, maybe a little bit different leaf springs and a little bit different shocks.
I need shocks, period. The fronts are both blown.
Yes.
The rears are off an F-150, so they're not heavy enough.
What I'm saying is,
Like-
I think if you dial in this setup, aka component wise,
Yes. It'll be
newer,
stupid capable.
stickier, skinnier tires,
Oh, fucking
At some
hell.
point-
and also a cage and a bed to,
Oh, yeah.
to even out the weight
Yes.
distribution.
I'm
I
planning
think
that
your
anyway.
rig will still be as capable as it is now, but
I would-
you'll be in better terms with every aspect. of it.
Yeah.
That's
And
the
it'll
thing is-
still be cheap. You won't be
Yeah.
on coilovers.
Oh, no, exactly.
And Super Duty axles, whatever you're gonna do.
It's just so capable that I'm not sure where it can go yet.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't do
You've
V-notch because I'm
slowly been testing that limit and haven't technically
you
found
basically-
it yet.
if you had sliders, I think you could do even more.
So-
you don't even need to do a cage. You could do a set of sliders and then try.
so in
probably
that
20%
same
more.
sliders.
in that same quarry, I'll pull that up actually next. I have it in my album. But
rocker panels.
right,
sliders.
before
gotcha.
we went to V-notch, there's an axle called Axle Breaker.
Oh yeah.
It's a big.
Wonder why it's called that.
It's a pretty big, good sized hill with a lot of rock at the top of it.
I've been able to make it open front end and locked is even easier now. But
but
my rocker panel I have 2x6 rectangle tube, 1/8 inch steel. It takes a beating on it. Your front axle comes over, it lands hard on the rocker. You're still able to get traction enough to slide your over top of your rocker panel, get your rear end to start climbing the wall that you were just fighting, and then you're up and over. It's pretty easy, but it is a big drop, specifically, like I said, on your rocker panels.
And your right side is high and your left side is a rock.
Yes.
So therefore, if you try and don't make it, you start sliding left a little bit.
So you're going to crush your rocker panel, door, bodywork, etc.
So you basically have to commit in the right spot to get, because you can't just keep hitting it over and over, because you keep working left into that rock.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, I'll try it. Like, hop up and just take a look for me. Just we'll kind of watch this rocker and see what it does.
Yeah. I was just the body man. I was like, yeah, I would, and like that's what I was like. And Jeremy was watching from the front. He's like, you can climb more to it'd be
my
driver's right,
my passenger side. Yeah,
yeah. And I was like, you could do that. Like, I'm not sure what it'll do. He's looking at a different angle, but like watching here, you could do it, but you cannot. You have to have enough momentum to where your rocker panel. By the time
going.
Your suspension, like you'll come up when you hit it with momentum, or when you compress again, you need to be far enough past the
where
point
your tires are
where
gonna
it's going to
catch.
hit. Yeah,
Yeah,
your
you
tires
have
are
to-
going to catch the weight, not your body.
You have to drive over it, not
Yes.
onto it.
Yeah.
Gotta give her the beans.
Pretty much. But
Or what you did was follow Jeremy's idea of stay right, and then you shouldn't have to do that.
basically drive
which
up
I
the
am not able to
hillside
do that
and-
in my Jeep, so I wasn't sure about the line. I've never really seen people do it.
Because the one and
but it
only
worked.
time that we did it in your Jeep that I was for, we landed on that rock very hard.
Yes.
And it hurt. Like it hurt my
I didn't
spine.
land as hard on it this time, but it is still the same concept of like
Right.
you do land on it, as well as like your front axle drags your rig
Exactly.
forward, and then your rear axle is able to climb that wall.
So I was like, I'll try it, but I'd rather not mess this door before I put sliders on.
Yeah.
So I tried it, and it worked really good. So I'm like, wow, this thing just kind of does stuff. So that's basically the end of the quarry loop there. From there, you go down the backside. There's a ledge. There's a ledge off on the right side of the trail.
It's down a trail essentially.
Yeah. It kind of isn't really a ledge, but it is.
There is nothing else around it. It is just that little ledge,
There's
which
like-
no one really even like runs up.
Yeah,
anyway.
there's just a rock sitting there that you climb up, and you're basically guaranteed. Like, I put up on it just to see what it would do, and I finally touched the cross member for my transfer case.
Yes.
Damn.
So that was the first thing I'd really landed on all weekend. I'm like, okay, I hit that. I'll just back off. Whatever. Not gonna worry about it.
You were on your rocker panel as well, but
Yeah,
it was
just
mostly
barely.
your trans cross member.
So I'm like, okay.
Or no,
there's
your
the-
trans cross member was the one by the lake. Or
No, it was that one.
It was somewhere else.
The one by the lake at Idle.
I also noticed one other time that your trans cross member was touching before your.
I think it was the one by the lake. I scraped it on the way up or something, but
Yeah.
it wasn't bad.
There wasn't like
But yeah,
any
literally
weight on
only
it.
one
No.
time you touched your rocker panel, and it was that. I'm like, you can fuck it up, but you put them in.
Yeah.
That's on. Like I'm
Exactly.
not gonna make that decision. If it were me, I don't care. But
Yeah.
I know that you did that, and I know you plan for rockers and a cage and everything
Yeah,
else.
I
so,
just
like,
hopped up there just
I
to
get it.
see kind of where stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I want to find where it hits.
Yeah.
So then I know those things, and that's where it touches that cross member. So I'm like, okay, great. Like, back off. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
So from there, we drop into the creek and take that all the way back up to leave. Basically, right once we get out of the quarry, I'm driving, and the truck just goes.
Uh-oh.
I'm like, I am out of fucking gas right now, aren't I? Michael's like, yeah, I think so. I'm
Yeah,
like,
because how big is your little rinky-dink gas tank?
it's like 16 gallons,
Yeah.
but it's so flat that
Yeah.
any fuel slosh, it'll lose prime.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay,
Which
I'm
is
like,
not good for the pump.
We get about.
it's not good for anything.
I am
You're already
6
up.
rigs ahead of you.
You're already
and I'm at the
almost out of the
checkout,
park.
and you are still down like on the like main road.
Yeah, I'm still on the
trying to
near
keep
the
the
big
fuel from
pond
sloshing
on
on,
the
a very
nasty-
washed out
to
road.
the point where I ask him, I'm like, hey, like, where are you at? I'm gonna go wash my Jeep off at the campground.
Yeah.
He's like, I might not make it out of the like the lower parking lot area.
Yeah, I'm like, I am
you
running
might have
out
to
of
tow me
gas.
out. I'm like, all right, fair enough.
So he
So-
came up and met me at the top. It did
Yeah.
make it there, but the whole time it's just.
Yeah, and before I started power washing my Jeep,
At least
I
you
made
have-
sure you got it to the. I watched you like serpentine through to the cabin. I'm
At
like,
least you
all right,
have
cool.
somewhat of a reference as to
Once the gauge,
not just getting up on a hill and just being.
if I was
and
up
it
on a
dies.
ledge, it probably would have died.
Oh, probably, but still, you get that kind of surging motion
I'm like,
with your
oh,
fuel pressure,
it's,
and you're like,
it's gonna run out.
it's
now.
fucking out of gas.
Yeah.
Did you fill the tank before you left?
No,
Oh,
it hadn't been filled since before we went to Missouri.
Yeah, because we only went not even an hour worth
Yeah.
of driving
Yeah.
in Missouri. Yeah.
So it's been as full as it was from then between driving it around whatever else.
Fair enough.
So I'm like, okay, once it says a quarter, it's empty.
Well,
Good to
realistic.
know.
Now you know your tank is good for 2 days of wheeling. Well,
yes, just barely.
Ish.
a day and a half probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Realistically.
So I'm like, okay, that's fine. Had just enough fuel, got back to the cabin, turned it off, pulled the trailer up, threw the ramps down, loaded up, everything. Made it on there without running out of gas.
Nice.
Barely.
Barely.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's like, okay, I'm exhausted from working on this thing. Michael's exhausted.
Michael was wanting to go home.
He was
or-
ready. He was ready to go home. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm fucking so
I'm
tired.
done.
I had mentioned, I'm like, well, we can eat, more of the Wheelers food. Like I've been so poor, I haven't made myself food in like 2 weeks.
Haven't
at
had
this point.
a good hot meal.
I'm like, man, I kind of want to like eat here and then we can leave. And I also have to stop at Brendan's house to return his steering wheel. So that I told Brian, I'm like, it'll be a while. I only
Yeah.
bullshitted with him for probably 30 minutes this time.
Yeah, Michael's
Record.
like, could we just go? I'm like, I think so. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm like, understandable. Which I was only behind you by like an hour, which is
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
because I ate lunch at the cabin, drove to Brendan's, talked to him for a half hour, and I was only an hour behind you because I also went to.
That's because you haven't heard about our trip home yet.
Okay.
Oh,
There is
Fair enough.
There's
Oh,
always more.
Jesus
Hold on,
fucking
are we
Christ.
missing anything else?
I think that's pretty
I
much.
think you
it.
guys covered it pretty fucking well.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
we're
don't-
we're over 2 hours.
Yeah, I
No,
know. I
we're
saw.
over
I
the
was.
2
I
hour
saw how
mark,
much we were
yeah.
going.
So
yeah.
we'll just kind of keep it short and sweet.
So the ride home, huh?
So we load up. We head out. Andy's half an hour later.
you
or
guys
whatever.
stop at the BP in Attica and scrape the
No.
fuck out of the
I have
parking lot.
I have
on the way.
rollers.
I did.
Oh,
I
that's
haven't
right.
touched. I haven't touched
Good
them
for
Oh
yet.
you,
yeah, he
Andy.
didn't. I did scrape pulling into a school like parking lot just to do a
Yes.
spin around, and you didn't.
and I didn't. So
I'm
my
like,
trailer,
that's cool.
My lowered trailer doesn't scrape somehow. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, we're just gonna go. Like,
Yeah.
you got to stop at Brandon's, whatever. It's fine. Like, we're just gonna go now. So we leave. We start heading out. We're on the interstate running, whatever. And Michael's like, you know what sounds good? Dairy Queen. I'm like,
The
oh,
fuck?
Dairy Queen's good. What do you
It
mean?
tastes like ass.
So
The
wrong.
ice
I
cream's
haven't.
good, but not the food.
I haven't had their food, and I know their chicken tenders are like mid, like
It's
mid.
solidly
Tearing
mid.
balls.
It's like like you just haven't had it in a while, and sometimes like just throwing something in out of the norm is
I would
okay.
I would rather have Dairy Queen than fucking Sonic.
well,
Sonic's
Sonic is
better.
ass.
Fuck
how
No, the
dare you
fuck
talk
it's
shit
not.
about Dave,
Dave Sonic and Douglas drunk drive-in.
Yeah, Sonic
dare.
Burger.
Don't you dare talk shit about my boys like
It's
that.
shit.
No, but he's like, you know what sounds good? Dairy Queen. I'm like, you know what? I haven't had it in a long time. Let's do it. Sets the course for the nearest one, whatever. So we're driving, and the road is on the interstate's under construction right there. So the GPS is doing fucky things.
Yeah.
Yep.
It said to get off and then right back on. I'm like, that's so
Oh
dumb.
yeah, that's
I
like right in
fucking love when it
Champaign,
does
isn't
that.
it?
Yeah,
or
or-
either that or just past Danville.
just past Danville.
Yep.
Like we were
Yeah.
probably an hour down the road or whatever.
Yeah.
Because we were coming up on Mahomet is like
Yes.
the next town.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, that's retarded. I'm like, let's just keep going straight. He's like, yeah. I'm like, that's weird. Turns out there's a road right next to the interstate that it wanted us to get on.
Oh, I know what
my
one you're talking
God.
about.
There's a lot that do that.
I had
but
to take that same one coming home last year.
It wanted us to turn and then take a U-turn to get on the
Yes.
other road.
Christ.
I'm like,
okay.
So you guys had to go all the way down to the next fucking exit.
So we go to the next exit, which doesn't exist because it's under construction.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
So we had to merge to the next
So
interstate.
you were trying to eat in Champaign area, like, but you ended up eventually driving to Bloomington.
We ended up eating in normal.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah,
he's-
you did probably a 20-minute loop
I'm
of
not even-
bullshit
not
to
even
get back
close
on the
yet.
same interstate instead of.
So we
yeah,
get on
okay.
so we keep going. We're like, okay,
That's funny.
we'll have to take the next exit. It's in like 7 miles. We'll have to go up,
shit.
merge to the next interstate, then do a double clover leaf and come back.
Yeah.
So we're just going. I'm like, okay, it's
That
this-
makes sense. I was like, damn, like I sat and ate lunch for 45 minutes, packed up. Like my Jeep was already strapped down, but like yeah, packed everything up from the cabin, make sure it was good to
Oh,
go.
I'm
left,
still not done.
Stopped at Brendan's for a half hour. I'm like, how the fuck am I only an
let
hour?
the man
There's
cook.
at least 2 hours of content like in between
Yes,
you leaving
there
and me.
is. So
Yeah.
we're going. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, it's this next exit. Great. I click the blinker on, take the exit. And he's like, where the fuck are you going? I'm like, oh shit. I'm looking at the truck GPS. His phone is what has the Dairy Queen on.
Oh god.
So I merged off right. I was supposed to go up, take the cloverleaf, and turn left.
Oh.
Brother, you
instead.
got that big ass screen.
I was looking
Yeah,
at
you
the
were
big
looking at
ass
the big screen, not the phone with the
Connect
Dairy
the phone.
Queen.
It's got wireless.
I had my phone connected because it was running to one to home.
Oh my god.
I'm just like,
Oh, okay.
he's like,
Okay.
what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I just fucked up bad, didn't I? He's like,
God
it added
damn.
like 20
I was
minutes right
curious.
there.
Oh my God.
I was also sleep deprived, so I'm like, I didn't even question this, but I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
how the fuck am I only an hour behind you? That's
Yeah, no,
nuts.
I was absolutely cooked
yeah,
at this
that makes
point. I'm like,
sense.
I am so sorry. He's like, there's one in Mahomet, which is, we were on a 2-lane going straight towards Mahomet at that point.
Yeah.
He's like, there's one there and it's closed. I'm like, you're kidding,
Yeah,
right?
'cause
He's
it's
like,
New Year's fucking day.
it's under
and it's a
construction.
small
It's not even
town.
open.
Oh, man.
I'm just like, well, we need gas in the next 30 miles, so we're gonna have to stop. We stopped at the
Anyway.
BP across the street from the closed Dairy Queen.
Just like, as you're
Just
filling it
look
up,
at
you're
it.
just
Could've
looking
been.
at it like motherfucker.
Just tantalizing
Yeah.
poor Michael.
So I filled the diesel and I filled my F350 too, just so it had fuel.
Yeah.
In it. It took about 12 gallons. So that means there's like 3 gallons in that tank floating around
Holy
loosely.
shit.
Oh, yeah,
and
that
that's
makes
like
sense.
a flat pancake style
Yeah.
too. So
So-
there's not a lot of fucking
So
fuel in there.
it's still running.
So
It's
realistically, if you're planning for 2 days, you need to bring a 5-gallon gas can.
just, when I build the cage, I'm mounting a Rotopax on it or a jerry can of some
Yeah,
sort.
yeah,
to
yeah.
have at least a couple gallons just loose. Because,
That makes sense.
So I'm like, there's the Dairy Queen we can't have. Like, he's like, I,
I
hate
guess
you
I'll
so
just go
much.
fuck myself.
One of the straps came loose on the truck.
Okay.
By how much? Like a lot?
Off.
Oh.
Like,
Oh.
So they reach underneath the frame and clip on.
Mm-hmm.
We're thinking that it wasn't clipped over, but like the ledge was sitting on top of it
Oh,
Yeah.
because it was
fuck.
completely off.
Either that or you
Or
didn't find the point where it's pulling straight. You were off. You were.
That's what I'm saying,
at
is,
an
like, it was
angle
something was
still.
weird.
Yeah, yeah. You weren't like how I do mine is I have the cross runners.
Mm-hmm.
Like I butt the curved piece up against the cross runner.
Right.
That way it can't move left or right any.
Well, yeah.
whereas if you don't have them or if it was in the middle of those and slid, then there's a lot of
Well, it's
slack
only
there.
just stake pockets on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
So it's through the stake pocket clipped over, so it can't move.
Okay.
We're
okay.
thinking it either came off a lug of the tire and it took a bunch of slack.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Somehow,
vibrated itself
somehow the
off.
whole ratchet was sitting on top of the deck. Because they're looped through the tire and then into the ratchet. They can't actually come off. Mm-hmm. They can just come loose from the trailer somehow. So we're like,
Weird.
that's super weird. So we just rehooked it back up. It was fine the rest of the time. It was just loose sitting on the deck. I'm like, I don't understand. He's like, I don't either.
Yeah.
But fuck
Okay.
it.
We're-
Dairy Queen.
Let's go now. Like,
Yeah.
He's like, I'm like, where's the next
Let's
one?
drive another half hour to Bloomington for Dairy Queen.
I'm like, where's the next one? He's like, El Paso. I'm like, God damn it, son of a I'm like, whatever. He's like, I don't care anymore. We're going to Popeyes or something. I'm like, that's fine. I'm like, Andy always wants Chick-fil-A, and he can't have it because it's always Sunday. But today is Monday, so we actually could.
Ooh, yeah.
But I'm like, we'll go to Popeyes. It's pretty good. You know,
I drove right past the Popeyes in Bloomington to go to Taco Bell because that's where
Yeah.
I stopped at.
I
'Cause
mean,
I'm like, you know what? Fuck it.
man.
I just want enough food to get me home.
literally
Chick-fil-A does sound good as fuck
it's
right
mid,
now.
but
I like Chick-fil-A.
Popeyes sandwich is so much better.
Oh, it's
but
so much better. I appreciate Chick-fil-A for what it is. It's exactly
Their
as good
sauces.
as you think it is.
That
but
is
when
what
you
does
want
it for
a
them.
Popeyes sauce
fucking
is killer,
chicken,
though.
What?
yes.
All right.
Chick-fil-A is.
We're going to fucking Popeyes.
If you want good food, you go to Chick-fil-A. If you want a fucking
You want a good
dirty
meal?
bitch ass chicken sandwich, you go to Popeyes and you leave there a man.
You love it.
It's like that.
covered in
It's like that
grease.
dirty X you go back to. You know you're not. You know it's not going to be great, but
Never-
you're going to love the fact that you went there.
Never
That's
had
Arby's.
that.
So literally, no, Arby's is
too.
delicious. Fuck you.
Arby's is for
Arby's
when I
is-
don't feel
Arby's
good.
is
and
like
I
the
need to
fat
have the
girlfriend. I'll be
shits.
honest.
I went
Like,
to
you're
Ar-
just ashamed the whole time.
I went to
but you're
Arby's
okay
on
with it.
Saturday, and I'm proud of it. I had their fucking smokehouse bacon brisket beef cheddar fucking super burger, and it was good.
Would you like an extra large beef and cheddar?
I literally,
Fucking yeah.
I literally pulled up. They're like, "Do you want our smokehouse bacon brisket bacon sandwich
Yes.
beef cheddar?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." Anyway,
Throw a side of
So we're like-
mozzarella sticks.
oh god.
So you end up
So I'm
eventually
like,
going
okay,
to Bloomington.
I'm like, okay, we'll go to the Popeyes in Bloomington.
yeah.
Whatever. We're halfway there. He's like, there is a Dairy Queen.
Yeah,
in
it's like
Bloomington.
Market Street
And I'm like,
was Popeyes. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, let's do this. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
pull up the GPS, make sure there's room in the fucking parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, it doesn't say that it's a grill and chill, which is their food
Yeah.
style ones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, it doesn't say. I'm like, we're taking the fucking chance. We're going now.
And you're gonna be pissed.
We pull in there
Oh.
and there's barely any room in the parking lot. So we back up like by the dumpster. We're like, we're good. Let's go in and eat. For 2 of us to eat with small blizzards was $45.
Holy shit!
Yes.
You're. I would
I
have
don't-
thrown that blizzard
I'm
back
like-
in their fucking
I'm
face.
like, we had blizzards, burgers, cheese curds, drink, and the blizzard.
Brother, you couldn't win the cold version. It'd be higher
shit.
quality.
But it was $45.
And it would have been cheaper too.
It's Dairy
a little
Queen, though.
cheaper,
If
yeah.
you don't understand.
Oh my god! Go
It's-
fuck your.
Well, okay,
I'm
it was a
not
lot.
You got to
fucking
think
paying.
they've also been through a traumatic experience thinking
Several-
about Dairy Queen the whole
several
time.
traumatic
Not to mention, it's like
experiences.
there is a chance we can get it. We might as well get it right.
I would
now.
have laughed in that cashier's face and said, "Fuck this."
We didn't have the energy to do that. We're like, we're here. The truck's parked and off. We're eating.
It might have been a small win, but you took that win. You're like, we're here. We're gonna eat it.
Exactly.
I don't care how much it costs.
That's literally what happened. We're like,
Fuck
great.
that.
After that, then we just went straight home.
It'd been
We got
defeated
back here. I
enough.
just parked the truck in the driveway. I'm like, it's staying there. Like, let's unhook this. You can go home. He's like, yeah, I think so.
shit.
So that's why you only we added like half an hour to the
Yeah,
drive,
I was
doing
wondering. I'm like,
fucking
I don't
loops.
understand how I only was behind you an hour. That
That's-
makes total
wow.
sense.
Yeah, I'm like, I was surprised you were only an hour behind. I'm like, oh no, it makes sense.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that part, and I never asked. But
Yeah, I was saving it for now anyway.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, Marcus came over to check the thermostat in the Subaru.
I changed the
Or change
thermostat
it
in the
technically.
Subaru.
Yeah.
He's
Did
like,
you drill
how,
more holes in it, or do you just
No,
went to, just
I
back
drilled
to
less
stock?
holes.
I pulled less holes in it.
Okay, but you still drilled holes in one.
hole.
Hole. Look.
Okay,
hole.
okay.
I went from 5 hole to 2 hole,
Okay.
and technically
One of the hole's factory.
one of
Okay,
them is
yeah.
the factory.
You
blow
took the
by.
little like thing.
Yeah,
piece
the
out?
little brass
yeah.
piece. I just
Yeah,
cut that out.
Gotcha,
But yeah, anyway.
Now it builds temp, and I have heat.
Yeah, he stopped by. He's like,
Alright.
"How was the trip?" I'm like, "I'm not telling you.
Well,
Was it good or bad?" I'm like, "I
Not-
can't answer
yeah.
that."
I was like, Did you guys have an okay time, or was it complete shit? And he was like, it was okay. I was like, all right.
I'm like,
Yeah,
it
you
drove-
had a good day of wheeling, and you had a lot of other things happening,
then
enough
what-
to give a
what did I
good
think?
podcast.
Oh, I said, was everybody able to drive their own rig onto their own trailer?
I'm like,
And
I
he
drove
said
the truck. I
yes.
drove the truck off the trailer and back on the trailer.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, then it
You
was a
just
good
don't know,
trip.
you don't know how hard it was to get it off the trailer, as well as how struggling it was to get it back on.
Yeah. 2023 was the worst day of wheeling I've ever had, but 2024 was flawless. I'm like, we're good.
Steve
Good
literally
way to
said
end
that
it.
in the Total
'Cause
Offroad
that's-
podcast. He's
I think
like,
that's what I told him.
Yeah.
Like when we were there, I'm like, this is the worst day of wheeling I've ever had. He's like, yeah, I think so too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, their episode was pretty good. I listened to that when it came out.
Okay, yeah, I did.
It's
I
like-
was in the garage yesterday too.
I'm
oh,
like,
fuck it,
are
why
they
not?
gonna talk shit about me the whole time? I'm like, I'm waiting for it and get to the end. And he's like, oh yeah, about that. I'm like, God damn it, no.
Oh,
No,
I
was-
specifically stopped doing loud shit. I'm like, I want to hear this.
I was waiting. I was like waiting for it because
Was I-
Mike
I
didn't say
forgot-
much.
I didn't know how. Yeah, I didn't know how much. Like you told them about like every aspect of it. I'm like, I feel like I told both of them, but I wasn't sure.
I mentioned quite a bit. Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, they summed it up pretty well. I'm like,
They
that's
had it
fucking
pretty-
hilarious.
Pretty dialed in. Yeah. But yeah,
Oh shit.
it was honestly. I would call it a. Mike and I were debating it. If you drive at the park more hours than you drive to and from the park,
Oh, that's
then
totally
it's
fucking
then
worth
it's a
it.
success.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's the only way I could put it. And like,
That you
I-
don't get granted the margin for error is not
very
big,
close.
but yeah, I think technically you came out.
I'm
on
like,
top.
we drove the truck a total of like 7 hours.
Yeah.
2.5 there, 2.5 back, and an
Yeah.
hour.
You had
there
at
and back
least
to
6,
fucking Bloomington.
at least
Or
6
to-
on Monday, and at least 1.5 on Sunday.
Yeah,
So,
I'm like, it was really close, but I think we did technically succeed.
yeah, I would
Yeah.
say so.
I would
So I'm
say
like,
so.
Hey, you drove it off the trailer
Well, without
and
the
back
keys.
on.
Yeah, I was
Without-
saying,
without the
like I
keys.
said,
drove it. Hey, you drove it off the trailer
technically,
and
yes.
onto the trailer.
I was happy.
under.
I was happy. I was
under-
able to take mine off, power wash it, and now I'm able to unbolt the axles and sell them without broken parts.
You
so.
did
Yeah,
it
mine's
all
dirty.
under its own power.
Yeah.
That's a
Yes.
success.
Barely. It was out
Yeah,
of
last,
because
my last trip I was
you-
not able to take my Jeep off my trailer because
Yeah.
the fuel pump died.
You have
So-
to remember, when I did mud bogs with the shit blazer at
Yucky.
Squires, the last
man.
time I barely got it off the trailer, went into the pit, it got 5 to 20 feet into the pit, and then the O2 sensors both failed at the exact same time.
You don't need those.
And I had to winch it back onto the trailer, and I was done after that.
I don't have my winch installed yet. I got a
So-
winch for Christmas.
Oh,
Sick.
fuck.
Yeah,
Hell
I did not
yeah.
have it installed yet.
That's okay. We have a year.
I got A year. Yeah, we'll go
We
with
got a
that.
year to do that.
No, the hydraulic steering worked out flawlessly.
Good.
0 leaks.
Good.
The cooling fan, awesome. Never even got like.
Yeah,
it would get
is-
exactly to like the R in the word normal on the gauge, and it would stay right there
Holy
all day.
shit.
It
Awesome.
did perfect. It barely kicked into high speed ever.
Nice.
I'm like,
Is the
awesome.
truck still here? Or is that at your
It's
parents'?
still here.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
Because I kind of want to hear that fan click on.
You won't. It's
you
cold
won't.
out.
Fuck.
Literally,
I
we
could-
had to block the radiator to get it to kick on.
on
It,
to high.
it would
So, yeah.
barely kick on. Once it's on high, it runs. But yeah,
Nice.
I could technically hotwire it real quick. Actually, I'll do that. We'll play with it.
Okay.
Whatever. Why not? It's only 9:30 at night. I'm sure the town will love this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't actually have a job to go to tomorrow or anything.
And
for
hey,
the
it'll
first
be
time in
cold,
months.
so I won't burn my fucking hand on the exhaust pipe like I did the last
No, it's
time.
still going to be hot.
It's no. We'll just. I can run the fan without the truck running.
Oh, that's fair,
technically.
okay.
How am I gonna start it? I have no keys. Fucking- on that,
You have
note,
the Black Ranger here. What do
I
you
have the
mean?
keys now. I haven't tried them yet, and I'm afraid to.
Shit.
Anyway, that's enough for today. Let's get out of here. Oof. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.